Chapter 248. At this moment, Jun Haoyin's strength had reached an extremely terrifying realm. Around him, there was an extremely dense immortal aura, which was even more terrifying than that of a peerless expert who had stepped into the immortal longevity realm. Especially at this moment, Jun Haoyin's body was constantly emitting endless light. Although it was not dazzling, it gave off an ancient and vast aura. Vast power constantly emerged from his body, turning into numerous vital chi dragons, shuttling back and forth in this space. Jun Haoyin was like a king of emperors, with the aura of looking down on the universe. A supreme dragon throne was constantly forming under him, exuding an aura that could suppress everything. This was the supreme dragon throne in the heavenly palace. It had been completely refined by Jun Haoyin so he could summon it at any time and place. Jun Haoyin, who was sitting on the supreme dragon throne, was like a real emperor who could not be ignored. However, at this moment Jun Haoyin did not care about this. Instead, he was constantly stimulating his own strength, stimulating his primordial spirit, and merging it with his body. With the baptism of immortal chi he could reach the immortal realm. Demon ancestor Chi-Yu, who was sealed in the heavenly palace in his body, naturally felt this scene. This guy is finally going to break into the immortal realm. I have to say this guy's strength has improved too fast, and his foundation is extremely profound. Who would have thought that he could break through 9 levels in one go from the first level of the immortal longevity realm to the 9th level? Yes, it's really too terrifying. It can be said that no one has ever done it before. Before he went into seclusion he was only in the transcendence realm. When the Holy Sun was in the transcendence realm, his strength was already heaven-defying. Now that he has broken through to the immortal longevity realm, how heaven-defying will his strength be? At this moment, Chi-Yu, who was sealed by Jun Haoyin, was extremely shocked when he felt the aura of Jun Haoyin. Even though he had been sealed, he could still clearly sense the aura emanating from Jun Haoyin's body through his means. That kind of extremely terrifying power was constantly surging. He could clearly see that the immortal energy in Jun Haoyin's body was incomparably dense. If the sempiternal realm aura of others was the size of a lake, Jun Haoyin's aura was like a boundless ocean. Be it in terms of quality or quantity, it was not something that someone of his cultivation level should possess. As long as he entered the immortal stage 5, he would be able to display his true strength. Once Jun Haoyin reached that stage he would be able to display his true strength. Even Chi-Yu wouldn't be able to completely protect his origin energy. It would be directly refined by Jun Haoyin. No, I have to think of a way to get out. Chi-Yu roared in his heart. He felt an intense sense of danger. He could even foresee the day when he would die. This holy son of Haoyin's strength and strange means were the most terrifying he had ever seen among human warriors of the same level. He just couldn't figure it out. In this era, the chi of heaven and earth was much thinner than the era he had been in. Moreover, after several calamities, all kinds of inheritances had been cut off. As for this Jun Haoyin, how did he cultivate to such a terrifying level? Thinking of this, Chi-Yu sighed slightly. For the first time he felt a little lost. This was because he really didn't know how to break the seal. It seemed that his fate had been determined. As for Jun Haoyin, he didn't care about what Chi-Yu was thinking. Instead, he was constantly mobilizing the energy in his body. He infused the aura of immortality into his cells and pores, allowing his body to undergo a metamorphosis. At the same time, his primordial spirit was constantly dispersing and combining with his body. Although it was only a step for Jun Haoyin to enter the immortal stage, in fact it would take a long time. Even Jun Haoyin had to be careful. The combination of the primordial spirit and the body was quite dangerous and had to be done carefully. The stronger the foundation and the higher the talent, the more dangerous it would be. On this point, Jun Haoyin did not let his guard down. When his primordial spirit slowly entered his body, Jun Haoyin also had a new feeling. It was completely different from what he had felt before. It was as if his soul and body had been transformed at the same time and had been greatly sublimated. This was the difference between the 5 stages of the immortal stage and the other stages. It was a real change. Jun Haoyin could even feel that his understanding of the world had become completely different. Most importantly, he could clearly sense his lifespan and the approximate number of fates he had in his life. What was immortality? Knowing the rules of heaven and earth and understanding the lifespan was the Tao of immortality. This was a very important stage. No one would ignore it. It was the same for Jun Haoyin. His primordial spirit was also merging with his body. Every ray of light from his primordial spirit was like a golden sun, shining on every part of his body. The perfect combination of the two sides was like nurturing a divine fetus, nurturing a brand new life. At this point, Jun Haoyan really felt why the 5 stages of the immortal stage were so important. As time passed, the combination of his primordial spirit and body began to become more and more intimate. It was also under such circumstances that the vast primordial spirit continued to condense, showing an explosion of several times to dozens of times. One had to know that the current Jun Haoyan hadn't completely entered the immortal stage, but such a terrifying primordial spirit had emerged. If outsiders saw it, they would definitely be surprised. The growth of this primordial spirit was dozens of times faster than other people of the same stage. Once a breakthrough was made, one's strength would also increase exponentially. True strength was too unreasonable. Perhaps Jun Haoyan, at the immortal stage, would have the power to fight with the immortal stage creation stage. Just like that, 3 days passed in a flash. During this period of time, Jun Haoyan's primordial spirit continued to grow, layer by layer. Before he entered the immortal stage, he had already sensed that his lifespan had reached 10,000 years. If he really reached this stage, even in terms of lifespan, he would be 2 to 3 times more than other people of the same stage. It was also because of this that Jun Haoyan finally reached the immortal stage on the 3rd day after his primordial spirit merged with his body. At this moment, Jun Haoyan's immortal aura was completely restrained, and he felt like he had reached the unity of heaven and man. Especially his Emperor Qi, it was truly getting stronger and stronger from the inside to the outside. Although he wasn't always in a high position, the feeling that Jun Haoyan gave people at this moment was a kind of aura that suppressed all. Compared to the various Saint Lords, it was even stronger than the Grand Overlords. At this moment, Jun Haoyan opened his eyes, and a strong and terrifying aura erupted from his body. It spread through the entire Langya Saint. At the same time, his cultivation, which had just entered the 1st stage of the immortal stage, showed a trend of explosive growth. Jun Haoyan's foundation from before the final act erupted once again. He had prepared for a long time to break through to the immortal stage, so he had sufficient foundation in all aspects of his body, spiritual power, primordial spirit, and so on. This was something that would only erupt when he leveled up again. Jun Haoyan's goal wasn't just to reach the immortal stage. What he wanted to do now was very simple, which was to use his foundation as much as possible to enter a higher realm. After all, there were 5 stages of the immortal stage, and each stage had 10 stages. The changes of each stage were earth-shattering. In this aspect, Jun Haoyan understood very well. He understood what it meant to have a spurt of energy, a decline of energy, and a depletion of energy by the 3rd stage. Therefore, at this moment he wanted to make the best use of his foundation. The power of vast origin continued to emanate from his body, baptizing his body and making him stronger and stronger. Layers of rumbling sounds reverberated around Jun Haoyan's body. His primordial spirit and body were completely integrated here, undergoing a brand new transformation. Therefore, at this moment, the vast radiance was constantly circulating, especially the endless energy that swept across. Like a river bursting its banks, it almost instantly flooded Jun Haoyan's entire body. At this moment, Jun Haoyan opened his eyes and shot out beams of golden light. It was as though he was a huge sun that could illuminate everything in the world. At the same time, the 4 million giant elephant seeds in Jun Haoyan's body were awakened. They kept roaring as if they were going to destroy the world. These giant elephant shadows stood in Jun Haoyan's body, carrying the golden sun on their backs and stepping on the immeasurable hell. They were powerful and threatening. Almost all of Jun Haoyan's power was stimulated at this moment. Originally, he could only awaken 10,000 giant elephant seeds at a time. But now, the number of giant elephant seeds awakened reached tens of thousands, and even close to 100,000. The gap between the immortal stage and the primordial spirit Dharma plane was too big. The strength of the two was almost immeasurable. Even 1,000 primordial spirit Dharma plane experts could not defeat an existence in the 1st tier of the immortal stage. This was the gap. 4 ordinary earth cultivators, a few square meters was insurmountable. Only Jun Haoyan could ignore it. This was also because of his strength, talent, and foundation. At this moment, Jun Haoyan had advanced to this level, which was extremely terrifying. For him, it was also a kind of new life. As the giant elephant continued to awaken, Jun Haoyan's strength seemed to have increased by several times. In the eyes of other warriors, this was almost impossible, but Jun Haoyan did have this kind of power. Especially at this time, Qi Yu, who was in Jun Haoyan's body, looked at everything in front of him in astonishment. The roars and cries of those giant elephants filled his heart with questions, and even gave rise to a sense of crisis. What kind of cultivation technique does this guy cultivate? It specializes in restraining devil Qi in hell? Qiyu looked at the giant elephant illusion in front of him that was constantly emitting golden light and had a terrifying aura, because he felt a trace of danger from it. It was a terrifying divine power that specialized in restraining devil qi. This was the first time Qiyu had seen this kind of energy. It was also the first time he had seen the appearance of this kind of power, even in his whole era. Even in the era when the devil race and the human race fought to the bitter end, this kind of power did not appear. But now Jun Haoyin's body actually erupted with this kind of power, which really shocked him. Could it be that this young man appeared because he wanted to destroy the demon race? Qiyu muttered to himself, a look of shock appearing on his face. Even he, the devil ancestor, was suppressed, let alone the other races. In his view, Jun Haoyin seemed to be born to destroy the devil race. Even without a devil god like him, the devil race was still incomparably powerful. But if this young man in the future really reached Shen Yuan's level, or even surpassed Shen Yuan's level of existence, at that time, it would really be a war of extermination for the devil race. He clearly knew that he couldn't let Jun Haoyin continue to grow like this, or it would really cause a big problem. Unfortunately, although he was the devil ancestor Qiyu, he really couldn't continue to stop this because he couldn't even protect himself. Sighing, Qilong shook his head slightly and continued to watch Jun Haoyin, who was constantly growing stronger in front of him. At this moment, Jun Haoyin's aura surged out like clouds. Layer by layer, his cultivation soared from the first level of the immortal 10,000 life realm like a river bursting through a dam. Second level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. Third level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. Fourth level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. Fifth level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. Sixth level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. Ninth level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. In just a moment, Jun Haoyin directly rose from the first level of the immortal 10,000 life realm to the seventh level of the immortal 10,000 life realm. He was only one step away from reaching the peak of this realm and advancing to the next level. This was Jun Haoyin's hidden strength. It was truly terrifying and indescribable. Once it erupted, it was unstoppable. After a while, Jun Haoyin also felt the changes in the 100 scriptures of furnace nurturing in his body. The only difference was that he had mastered all sorts of mystical abilities, and there were no restrictions. There were no restrictions, and all of these abilities merged into one, constantly circulating in his body. He could even use the celestial devil god arts to directly activate other abilities. This was one of the strongest aspects of the scriptures of furnace nourishment. 10,000 arts were one art was one, and 10,000 arts were one. At the moment Jun Haoyin's cultivation soared, the giant elephant seeds in his body awakened from 4 million to 7 million. At this moment, the awakening of 3 million seeds exceeded Jun Haoyin's imagination. Moreover, the awakening of the giant elephant seeds continued. 7,200,000. 7,300,000. 7,400,000. 7,500,000. 7,600,000. 8 million. 8,200,000. 8,300,000. 8,400,000. Finally, with the help of the 100 scriptures of nurturing in the cauldron, as well as all sorts of powerful resources, the number of mammoth seeds in Jun Haoyin's body reached a terrifying 8,400,000. At this moment, another terrifying power swept out from Jun Haoyin's body, revealing the majesty of a god. Layers of aura swept out continuously. At this moment, Jun Haoyin was like a god, overlooking the vast world. It was also at this moment that the third incantation of all beginnings appeared in his mind. Chapter 249. That was one of the most powerful aspects of the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth. Every time a cultivator reached the Great Circle, they would automatically receive a new all-heavens technique. Most importantly, each of the techniques was heaven-defying and terrifyingly powerful. When used, they could slay immortals and suppress heaven and earth. Jun Haoyin had already broken through to the Great Circle twice, and each time he received a new technique. He had already obtained the Underworld Deity Spear and the Divine Wings of Liberty, two supreme techniques. One was the most powerful attack, and the other was the most powerful speed, which could allow him to pass through millions upon millions of dimensions without getting lost. Each of these two supreme techniques was incomparably powerful, comparable to a supreme emperor technique. Even after Jun Haoyin broke through the void and entered the divine world in the future, these supreme techniques would still be able to unleash great power. Jun Haoyin now had 8,400,000 Mega Mammoth seeds, which meant that Jun Haoyin had already received the third All Heavens technique. In the blink of an eye, a vast text appeared in Jun Haoyin's mind, each word profound and profound, containing the great Tao of heaven and earth. It was as if the words of a god could create heaven and earth, and bring blessings to millions upon millions of living beings. But at this moment, Jun Haoyan suddenly opened his eyes. Beneath him, a dragon throne took shape, with an azure dragon, a white tiger, a vermilion bird, a black tortoise, and other auspicious beasts engraved upon it. Tens of thousands of rays of divine light continued to shoot out, illuminating the entire world and sweeping out layer by layer. Just like that, Jun Haoyan sat on the dragon throne like a supreme monarch that ruled over the heavens and earth, suppressing the universe. A long robe appeared on his body, shining with dazzling light. All sorts of divine symbols were engraved upon it, and it emanated a boundless will to fight. The robe covered his body, making him look like a god from heaven descending to the mortal world, a true sovereign. Boundless light flowed around him, almost as if he were blessed by the gods. Every inch of the robe was as beautiful as porcelain. If one were to take a closer look, they could even hear ancient voices echoing throughout the 3,000 worlds. It was the chanting of the gods. It was the blessing of the gods, protecting Jun Haoyan's body. This was the third of the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth, the god legion battle robe. If the infernal deity spear was his most powerful offensive weapon, then the god legion battle robe was his most powerful defensive weapon, which could protect him from being destroyed for hundreds of years. In particular, the chants and blessings of the gods enhanced Jun Haoyan's battle prowess even more. At this very moment, Jun Haoyan had truly transformed into a monarch who dominated the world. Both his aura and strength had reached a terrifying level. This was especially true for him who was seated on the dragon throne. It added a sense of supreme dignity to his aura. It was also at this moment that Jun Haoyan's foundation was depleted. His cultivation base had broken through to the 10th level of the immortal longevity stage, and the number of ancient mammoth seeds he had awakened had reached 8,800,000. The chanting of the gods had also condensed to a limit. It might be an exaggeration to say that the law followed his words, but it could definitely be said that the law moved at will in an instant. At this moment he had finally reached the immortal longevity stage. His lifespan had reached a terrifying 50,000 years, which was several times longer than an ordinary immortal longevity stage expert. The true energy contained in Anata's 8 million mammoth cells after awakening could be said to be incomparably dense and vigorous to the extreme. With Jun Haoyan's current strength, even if he faced an immortal creation stage expert who was one level higher than him, he wouldn't have a trace of fear. In fact, he could even defeat them. Of course, if he faced an immortal world king, the current Jun Haoyan was still not a match for him. After all, an immortal world king was simply too terrifying. It was on a completely different level from the immortal longevity stage. After reaching the immortal world king level, one could open up a world within one's body and become a world king. One could directly create wind, fire, water, and earth. It was extremely powerful. It could be considered another transformation of the 5 immortal realms. During that great battle, the reason why Jun Haoyan could kill an immortal realm expert was because he had the support of the immortal bell. However, if he was at the peak of the immortal longevity stage, he definitely wouldn't be weak. Killing the various sacred masters wouldn't be a problem at all. It's time to go out. Jun Haoyan took a deep breath. The God Legion battle robe and the supreme dragon throne on his body disappeared at this moment. He once again transformed into a purple robe. He looked otherworldly and peerless. It was completely different from the aura that looked down on the 3,000 worlds just now. It was also at this moment that Jun Haoyan began to increase the refinement of demon ancestor Qiyu's origin. It was a pity that Qiyu was too powerful. Even the current Jun Haoyan would need a very long time to completely refine the last trace of origin energy. However, Jun Haoyan didn't care. What he didn't lack the most now was actually time. Without any hesitation he took a step forward. It was as if he had passed through countless spaces. Langya Holy Ground, Langya Holy Palace. The Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, and the various supreme elders closed their eyes slightly. A vast amount of true energy condensed around them. The Langya Holy Realm was below the Holy Palace. They were sitting here now to protect the Holy Sun from breaking through to the immortal longevity stage safely. 10 days have passed. I wonder if the Holy Sun has succeeded? A supreme elder asked with a trace of worry on his face. As they were afraid of disturbing Jun Haoyan's breakthrough, they had already sealed off the Langya sacred realm. Only those who came out would be able to do so. Otherwise, no matter how they searched outside, they wouldn't be able to sense any aura inside. Therefore, at this moment, no one present knew whether the Holy Sun had broken through to the immortal longevity stage or not. Don't worry. He'll be fine. At this time the Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, spoke. If there was one person who trusted Jun Haoyan the most, it would be the Holy Lord of Langya in front of him. After all, Jun Haoyan was the Holy Son that he had personally chosen. It said that because of the Holy Son's closed-door cultivation this time, the true disciples are also working hard to cultivate. Yes, not only did the Langya Holy Ground not feel confused by the previous order, but they are also very supportive. The Holy Son's contribution can't go unnoticed. The disciples of the Langya Holy Ground are so united. The other Supreme Elders said with gratified smiles on their faces. To be honest, if it weren't for the previous incident with the 5 major forces, the Langya Holy Ground wouldn't be so united. If a Holy Ground wanted to transform, this was very important. As long as they didn't face a great disaster, what awaited them was a kind of transformation. It was also at this moment that a powerful aura surged, shaking the entire Langya Holy Ground. Afterwards, a dense divine light shot out, illuminating the entire hall. In particular, the might of the divine light made the great elders' expression change. Some Supreme Elders were shocked. In the next moment, everyone looked at the endless divine light. They saw Jun Haoyan with his hands behind his back, his thick black hair like a holy god on patrol, stepping on the sky. It's the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun has broken through and reached the immortal longevity stage. Not only that, but it's also the 10th level of the immortal longevity stage. What a rich true yuan. Why do I feel like an old man like me is a child in front of him? Prodigy. He's a true peerless prodigy. He broke through and reached the peak of the immortal longevity stage. Especially his lifespan. Can you feel his chi and blood? It's too rich, like a torrential river, endless. The moment Jun Haoyan appeared, the Supreme Elders present were shocked. They stood up and looked at Jun Haoyan in front of them. Because at this time, Jun Haoyan didn't hide his aura and true yuan at all. He let the Supreme Elders present see clearly. After all, they were all trustworthy people, so there was no need to hide. And soon, Jun Haoyan would inherit the position of the Holy Lord of Langya, so of course he had to be generous. Therefore, when the Supreme Elders saw this, they were not only shocked, but also incomparably gratified. This was just a breakthrough. If they continued to consolidate, coupled with Jun Haoyan's breakthrough later, what kind of level would he reach? Even they didn't dare to imagine. Moreover, they were all in the immortal realm, so they were very sensitive to the density of true yuan and lifespan. Although they couldn't feel Jun Haoyan's lifespan, it was definitely incomparably long, stronger than them. And there was that kind of rich magical power. To them it was like a true dragon. Just the vibration of the true essence was enough to make them feel apprehensive. Even if they were in the same realm, it was difficult to compare. They really couldn't compare. The Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, showed an incomparably satisfied smile. He had been watching Jun Haoyan grow up. From when Jun Haoyan had just made a name for himself, to now when he had become a powerhouse, he had seen it all. In particular, this kind of breakthrough speed could be said to be appalling. It could be said to be terrifying. But in any case, Jun Haoyan's current strength was already qualified to succeed the position of the Holy Lord of Langya, and there was no problem at all. The Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, said. Of course, he was incomparably gratified that such an existence had appeared in the Tai Holy Land. Holy Lord Elders. At this moment, Jun Haoyan stood in front of them with a smile on his face. He looked very calm, as if he didn't feel happy because he had broken into the immortal realm. Because he clearly knew that the immortal realm was just the beginning. In the situation where the experts of the 3,000 worlds were about to descend, he would lead the Langya Holy Land forward in the future. This was a very heavy responsibility, and it also meant what he needed to do next, so he didn't have it easy. Since you have now become the immortal realm, then our previous agreement is in effect. The Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, said with a trace of expectation on his face. In the impending great calamity of the 5 decay of the heavens, it was really stressful for him to lead the Langya Holy Land. Now, this burden was going to be handed over to others. Tao Xian could be said to be incomparably happy. And after Jun Haoyan heard this, he smiled and said, Holy Lord, you are really impatient. I have just come out of seclusion, and you can't wait for me to succeed. When the elders heard his words, they also looked at each other. They first glanced at Jun Haoyan, then at Tao Xian, and shook their heads speechlessly. In any case, he was the Holy Lord of the human race's holy land. He was the existence in charge of the supreme inheritance. But now, looking at Jun Haoyan and Tao Xian, it seemed that they didn't want this position anymore. Tao Xian wanted to quickly give up this position, and Jun Haoyan had agreed before, but now it seemed that he was a little hesitant. This was a position that many people dreamed of but couldn't get. Hao Yin, don't think about regretting it. You can't escape the position of Holy Lord even if you want to. You just need to wait quietly. When the time comes, I will send out invitations and inform the forces. Then inform the various forces and it's decided. With a wave of his hand, Dao Xian made the decision. In his heart, he was really afraid that Jun Haoyan would suddenly go back on his word. There was no other way. If he went back on his word, he couldn't directly force Jun Haoyan to become the Holy Lord of Langya. Besides, the current Tao Xian couldn't guarantee that he had the strength to control Jun Haoyan. The current Jun Haoyan was already a very capable person. Therefore, the Holy Lord of Langya and Tao Xian could do the same. When Jun Haoyan saw Tao Xian's expression, he shook his head and smiled. Don't worry. Since I made a promise, I naturally won't go back on it. 3 days later it is. However, I want to say that there's no need to announce it to the world or invite the forces. We can just carry out the Holy Lord succession ceremony ourselves. After hearing Jun Haoyan's words, the supreme elders present, including Tao Xian, all heaved a sigh of relief. In their eyes, as long as Jun Haoyan succeeded the position of Holy Lord, everything would be fine. Moreover, Jun Haoyan was right. Now that the Wuxian continent was about to face a great calamity, they couldn't be too high profile. As for announcing it to the world, there was no need to do so. As long as the Holy Lord of Langya and Tao Xian issued this decree, everyone in the world would know about it. Almost everyone in the world would know about it, so there was no need to do something superfluous. In that case, let's do it. Tao Xian agreed immediately after hearing Jun Haoyan's words. After that, the group of supreme elders continued to gather and discuss some details. After setting the time and process, Jun Haoyan left immediately. In 3 days he would officially succeed the position of Holy Lord and become the true Holy Lord of the Langya sacred ground. All of this actually happened in a very short period of time for Jun Haoyan. How long had it been? However, it wasn't a big deal. He didn't need to worry about this at all. This was because he clearly understood that no matter what happened in the outside world, no matter what kind of opponent he encountered, as long as he was strong enough, anyone could cause a storm. After Jun Haoyan left, the Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, and the supreme elders present smiled faintly. From now on, the person at the helm of the Langya sacred ground will be Jun Haoyan. Tao Xian said slowly, looking very relaxed. The supreme elders were also very confident. They were very confident that Jun Haoyan would be the master of the Langya sacred ground's revival. On this day, the news that the Holy Son of Langya, Jun Haoyan, would succeed the position of Holy Lord of Langya in 3 days spread throughout the entire Wuxian continent. Chapter 250. Although Tao Xian had agreed to Jun Haoyan's suggestion, he did not announce to the world that Jun Haoyan was going to succeed the Holy Lord of Langya. On the surface, he did not invite all the major forces in the world to attend the ceremony of Jun Haoyan inheriting the Holy Lord of Langya. However, the attention that the Langya sacred ground received was too much. Almost all the major forces on the martial god continent were paying attention to the Tai Holy Land's movements all the time. After all, Langya Holy Land's recent glory and the terrifying Holy Son of Haoyan, the Holy Son of Langya. His invincible stance was deeply engraved in the hearts of all the forces on the martial god continent. They could all foresee that for a long time in the future, the Holy Son of Langya Holy Land of Haoyan would radiate a dazzling light and a heart-trembling heat on the martial god continent. Therefore, when the Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, issued his last decree as the Holy Lord of Langya, he confirmed that the Holy Son of Haoyan would be the future Holy Lord of Langya. The succession ceremony of the Holy Lord of Langya would be held in 3 days. The news immediately spread to all the forces on the martial god continent. The news spread to the 5 dynasties, the 3 holy lands, and even every corner of the martial god continent. This news immediately caused everyone to be astonished. In fact, they had expected it long ago. The Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, would definitely pass his position to the Holy Son of Haoyan in the future. However, no one expected that this day would come so quickly. So, the Holy Son of Haoyan, Jun Haoyan, and ruling have already reached the immortal realm? Luotian Holy Land, Yaoguang Holy Land, and Qingyun Holy Land. The Holy Lords, the Holy Son, and the supreme elders of each holy land were in their respective holy lands. They looked in the direction of the Langya Holy Land and murmured in confusion. Only the Holy Son of Haoyan's strength had risen to another level, which would promote Jun Haoyan's succession to the Holy Lord of Langya so soon. But wasn't the Holy Son of Haoyan already at the peak of the Transcendence 10th realm? If he rose to another level, wouldn't he be at the immortal realm? Suddenly they thought of this. Then they were all astonished. How long has it been? The clear sky Saint Sun has already reached the immortal longevity realm. Everyone's hearts were filled with an absurd sense of awe. Jun Haoyin had reached the immortal realm in such a short time. This meant that Jun Haoyin had officially reached the same level as the older holy lords and supreme elders of each holy land. He had become an expert of the immortal realm 5. Moreover, the newly promoted holy son of Haoyin, Jun Haoyin, was a terrifying figure with great potential and combat strength. Just thinking about it made the holy lands feel a sense of horror rising from the bottom of their hearts. Then they felt a sense of helplessness when they saw the terrifying rise of the holy son of Haoyin. In the face of such a terrifying monster like the holy son of Haoyin, they had completely lost the confidence to fight against him. Moreover, Jun Haoyin's combat strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. Therefore, it was absolutely impossible to kill a genius while he was still in the cradle. Everyone was envious of the fact that the Langya Holy Ground had such a terrifying holy son like Jun Haoyin. It seems that the Langya Holy Ground, or the Holy Son of Haoyin, will be the main core of the Wuxian continent in the future. The current era is his stage. The 4 great dynasties and the 3 holy lands all had the same feeling. Although the Langya Holy Ground did not invite us to the succession ceremony in 3 days, we must go. But we must go. All the forces thought so in their hearts. The Langya Holy Ground did not invite them, but they must show goodwill to the supreme Langya Holy Ground. Or else, facing the powerful Langya Holy Ground in the future, their survival would be more difficult. However, the Langya Holy Ground did not invite them, so it was not good for their holy leader to go to the Langya Holy Ground. In that case, they would send the Holy Son, the Saintess, and the other young disciples to the Langya Holy Ground. In this way it would not seem abrupt, and it would not delay the congratulatory ceremony. Almost all the forces in the Wuxian continent made the same decision. Soon 3 days had passed. It was the day of the Holy Lord of Langya's succession ceremony, or rather, the handover ceremony began. The entire Langya Holy Ground was filled with a jubilant atmosphere. All the disciples, regardless of whether they were servants, inner disciples, outer disciples, or true disciples, elders, and even the Holy Lord of Langya Tao Xian. Everyone in the Langya Holy Ground was full of smiles. They firmly believed that after the Holy Son, Jun Haoyin, succeeded the Holy Lord of Langya's position, he would be able to lead the Langya Holy Ground to new heights. In such an atmosphere, the ceremony was extremely grand. The entire Langya Holy Ground was decorated with lanterns and streamers. The decorations were exceptionally splendid. The spiritual wine, spiritual fruits, and exotic beast meat were placed on the table. They were extremely sumptuous, enough for everyone to enjoy themselves to the fullest, and there was no way to finish them all. The ceremony was held in a square suspended in the void. There were many seats in the square, and they were filled with the disciples of the Langya Holy Ground. On the high platform in front of the square, the elders of the Langya Sacred Ground and above were seated. All the elders were lined up on both sides. Even the Supreme Elder and the Holy Lord of Langya, Tao Xian, were seated 1 level lower. On the golden chair, which was engraved with mythical beasts, sat a young man. He was dressed in a golden robe and wore a crown on his head. His body was fit and healthy and he looked very handsome. His eyes seemed to be filled with the sun, moon, and stars. He was extremely eye-catching. Some of the female disciples in the square looked at the young man with a mesmerized expression. This handsome young man was naturally the Holy Son, Jun Haoyin. At this moment, Jun Haoyin looked calmly at the excited disciples in the square. In fact, he was very calm. In fact, he was not very interested in such a grand ceremony. However, the Holy Lord of Langya's handover ceremony had to be exceptionally grand, so that the reputation of the Langya Holy Ground would not be tarnished. Therefore he did not mind the grand ceremony. The Holy Son of all heaven has arrived. At this moment an announcement was heard in the square, and it attracted the attention of many people. Then a ray of light appeared in the distance. I didn't expect the Holy Son of all heaven to come uninvited. You don't understand. Our Holy Son is inheriting the position of the Holy Lord. Although we didn't invite them, how could they not come? That's true. On the square, many disciples began to discuss among themselves. Only the Supreme Elder Tao Xian and Jun Haoyin in front of the square seemed to have expected this, and they were not surprised at all. The Holy Son of Qingyun has arrived. The Holy Son of Alcade has arrived. Then several voices sounded in the square one after another. In the distant sky, a few rays of light came from afar, causing the void to tremble. The rays of light shone for thousands of miles and soon they landed on the square. When the light dissipated, the Holy Son of Qingyun and the Holy Son of Alcade were revealed. They stood together with the Holy Son of all heaven. I didn't expect the three Holy Lands to come at the same time. I'm afraid they're afraid of our Holy Son, and now they're here to express their goodwill. On the square, the disciples of Langya sect were discussing among themselves. When the Holy Son of Three Grands heard this, they felt a little humiliated, and their faces turned red. Even so, there was nothing they could do. This was because they were here to express their goodwill to the Langya Holy Lands. Previously, the Three Grands, the Nine-Headed Dragon clan, and the Qingqiu Fox clan had attacked the Langya Holy Lands together, but they were defeated by Jun Haotian. Even their strongest cultivator was killed by the Holy Son of Haotian. The Nine-Headed Dragon clan and the Qingqiu Fox clan had the backing of the Divine Monster Continent. However, these Holy Lands had no backing, so they could only express their goodwill to the Langya Holy Lands in order to survive. The Holy Son of all heaven came uninvited to the Holy Son of Haotian's succession ceremony. Please forgive us, Holy Lord and the Holy Son. The Holy Son of Qingyun came uninvited. Please forgive us, Holy Lord and the Holy Son, for attending the Holy Son of Haotian's succession ceremony. The Holy Son of Alcade. Please forgive us, Holy Lord and the Holy Son, for attending the Holy Son of Tai's succession ceremony. The three Holy Sons were all in the square. They bowed slightly to Jun Haotian, the Holy Son of Haotian, and to Tao Xian and Jun Haotian on the high platform. Suddenly, many of the disciples of the Langya Holy Lands in the square looked proud, and a hint of self-satisfaction appeared. The disciples of the three Holy Lands all had the same attitude. This showed that the three Holy Lands were all afraid of the Langya Holy Lands and had given in to the Langya Holy Lands. This made a strong sense of pride emerge in their hearts. This was because they were proud of the strength of the Langya Holy Lands. Tao Xian, Jun Haotian, and the others naturally expected them to come. Although they were not invited, since they were all here, the Tai Holy Lands would not humiliate them. Naturally, he would not humiliate them. Instead, he gave them a seat. Then the ceremony continued. However, Jun Haotian did not find it interesting. Originally, Emperor Xia and Linglong Saintess Guyue Huang would also come. However, because of the trip to Mount Tai, the two of them were in seclusion in their respective places, trying to break through to the immortal realm. They only sent the officials of the Vermilion Bird Dynasty and the elders of the Linglong Saintess. Just when Jun Haotian thought that there should be no one coming. In the distant sky, countless auspicious clouds gathered together as boundless Buddhist light shot out, illuminating the entire western sky as if it was a sun. Countless golden lotuses of the Buddhist sect appeared. Bursts of Sanskrit chants shook the void, giving people great enlightenment. Amidst the golden lotuses and the chanting of Buddhist scriptures, a figure emitting golden Buddhist light crossed the endless space and arrived. This Buddhist light, could it be the Buddhist sects of the Western Desert? I didn't expect that even the Buddhists would come to congratulate us and even succeed the throne. A few surprised voices sounded in the square. On the high platform, Jun Haotian looked at the figures in the west and said, "It's Arhat Jin Luan." Yes, this time it was Jin Luan, the Arhat of the Jingang Temple. I guess Jin Luan came to the Langya Holy Lands this time not only to congratulate me on ascending to the position of the Holy Lord of Langya, but also for the Western Buddhist sects. Looking at the figure in the west who crossed the space, Jun Haotian muttered to himself. Jin Luan, the Arhat of the Jingang Temple of the Western Desert, came today to congratulate the Holy Son of Haotian, the Holy Son of the Holy Lord of Langya. A moment later, Jin Luan arrived in the square with endless Buddhist light. When he put his hands together, he bowed to Jun Haotian, who was on the high platform. The Jingang Temple is very considerate. Jun Haotian and Tao Xian said one after another. However, Jun Haotian knew that Jin Luan came for a direct purpose this time. The abyss that appeared in the Western Desert was even more serious. Perhaps there were other strange phenomena. The arrival of Arhat Jin Luan brought the event to a peak. Everyone was in high spirits. In such an atmosphere, Jun Haotian took the token that belonged to the Holy Lord of Langya and the Supreme Weapon Langya landscape map from Tao Xian. On the square, many disciples, whether they were handymen, inner disciples, outer disciples, core disciples, or true disciples, were blushing and shouting the names of the Holy Lord of Langya and Jun Haotian. The scene was so spectacular that even the sky of the Holy Lands of Langya was shattered. Countless clouds and the thousands of miles of sky were cleared. Jun Haotian looked at the scene calmly. Since he had taken over the position, he would naturally take over the responsibility of the Holy Lord of Langya and bring the Holy Lands of Langya to glory. Then he looked at Jin Luan. At the same time, Jin Luan looked at Jun Haotian. Both of them knew what was going to happen next. After the event, it was time to explore the abyss that appeared in the western desert. In a big hall of the Holy Lands of Langya, Jun Haotian sat on the main seat, while Jin Luan sat on a seat in the middle of the hall. Now Jun Haotian was the Holy Lord of the Langya Holy Lands. His position was one level higher than that of Arhat Jin Luan. Are you saying that the demon chi from the abyss that appeared in the western desert is getting more and more serious? Jun Haotian looked at Di Rulai and asked in surprise. Yes, Holy Lord of Langya. At this moment, Jin Luan's expression was respectful. Then he frowned. He said helplessly, ever since the abyss appeared, there has been an eerie demon chi coming from it. And it is getting more and more serious. Now, within 10,000 miles of the abyss, it has become a domain of demon chi. Humans and beasts are extinct. If we don't get to the bottom of this quickly, I'm afraid the entire western desert will turn into a land of demon chi. Jun Haotian's face turned pensive. If that's the case, I'm afraid we have to speed up the exploration of the abyss. Previously, because of the Saraira and Jun Haotian owed the western desert Buddhist sect a favor. Moreover, there was a previous agreement, so he should go and help the Layin temple. Besides, Jun Haotian was interested in the demon chi coming from the abyss. One should know that the demon ancestor Chi-Yu was sealed in his body. Was there any relationship between the demon ancestor Chi-Yu and the abyss? Alright, in that case I will explore the abyss with Arhat Jin Luan. Jun Haotian said slowly. Thank you, Holy Lord of Langya. Chapter 251. In the following days, Jun Haotian did not set off immediately. Instead, he stayed in the Langya sacred ground for a few days. As he had just succeeded as the Holy Lord of the Langya sacred ground, there were still many things that Jun Haotian had to deal with. However, Jun Haotian only decided to go to the western desert with Jin Luan after he had dealt with all the things that he had to deal with. Before he left, Jun Haotian handed over all the tasks that he had to do as the Holy Lord of Langya to Tao Xian. He even handed over the Langya mountain and river illustration to Tao Xian. After he left, the Langya sacred ground still needed this supreme weapon to be used as a defensive formation against the enemies. Since he already had the Bell of No Beginning, the Langya mountain and river illustration was of no use to him. On this day, in the Langya sacred ground, 2 streaks of light shot out from the Langya sacred ground, carrying endless divine power and Buddhist light. They shot toward the western desert and disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the entrance of a palace in the Langya sacred ground, Tao Xian watched helplessly as the streaks of light disappeared into the distance. Now Tao Xian had become another supreme elder of the Langya sacred ground. Sigh, although I have stepped down from my position as the Holy Lord, the new Holy Lord of Langya is still a hands-off boss. I still have to do the dirty work. Tao Xian sighed helplessly. However, even though he said so, he did not mind it at all. Instead, he was a little worried about the safety of Jun Haotian's mission. I hope the Holy Lord can come back safely, Tao Xian said worriedly. In his opinion, nothing was more important than Jun Haotian's life. He could only hope that Jun Haotian would not go to such a dangerous place. With Jun Haotian's strength and potential, as long as he stayed in the Langya sacred land, he would definitely reach the peak in the future. However, Dao Yan knew in his heart that this was simply impossible. Before the Holy Lord returns, these old bones will help the Holy Lord manage the Langya sacred ground. Tao Xian turned around and returned to the Grand Hall. The Grand Hall was filled with the Grand Elders and Elders of the Langya Holy Land. Meanwhile, in the void outside the martial god continent, an endless violent storm was sweeping across it. These storms were mixed with the chaotic aura of spacetime. If a warrior under the immortal realm came to such a furious storm, he would be torn apart instantly, dying without a complete corpse. However, in the midst of such a terrifying storm, there was one thing that seemed to be completely unaffected by the storm. It directly broke through the storm and approached the martial god continent. It was a sky-reaching fortress ship with a monstrous demonic aura that soared into the sky. The endless spacetime storm hit the ship and cut through it, but it could not leave a single mark on the ship. Obviously, this sky-reaching fortress ship was a powerful treasure. At this moment, there were many figures standing on the sky-reaching fortress ship. Above these figures there was no exception. All of them were filled with a shocking baleful aura and demonic aura. The rising aura caused one's heart to palpitate. Martial God Continent, Grand Langya Sacred Land, Jun Haotian, Holy Son of Haotian. Among these figures, a golden-robed old man was muttering to himself as he narrowed his eyes and looked at the faintly discernible martial God Continent in front of him. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed and a frightening murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Those who killed my 9-headed divine flood dragon clan will pay the price. His gaze was like lightning, as if he wanted to split open the endless space-time and descend on the martial god continent. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the immortal and immortal realm, and he was about to break through to the Supreme Emperor realm. Behind this golden-robed old man, there were dozens of figures of different ages. Because the auras of these figures were all frighteningly powerful. The weakest among them was no weaker than the immortal creator realm. There were even quite a few immortal realm cultivators. Among these figures, the golden-robed old man, who was the strongest among them, was filled with the same aura as Demon King Jiao. This ship obviously came from the 9-headed divine flood dragon clan of the heavenly monster continent. The incomparably huge ship slowly sailed through the endless storm. After this ship sailed, more ships appeared in the depths of the storm, layer upon layer, as if they were going to crush the galaxy. Some of them were from the Green Hill Fox clan of the heavenly monster continent. Some were from other worlds. Immeasurable continent, phantom spirit continent. Immortal continent, Moke continent. Counting carefully, there were dozens of ships. Each ship was filled with peerless experts with incomparably terrifying strength. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that all the experts here combined could sweep across the entire Shenhuang Great World. The holy son of the Langya sacred land, Hao Tian, is really daring to kill the geniuses of our Moke continent. The holy son of Hao Tian must pay the price for his arrogance. Our immeasurable continent is not to be trifled with, a life for a life. Our phantom spirit continent must take Jiang Chen's life. In these dozens of ships, almost all of them revealed a shocking hatred and murderous intent towards Jun Haotian. Obviously, on the surface these experts on the ships were here to avenge those who died on Mount Tai, as if they couldn't live under the same sky as Jiang Chen. However, their actual purpose was somewhat thought-provoking. Perhaps they wanted to extend their hands into the martial god continent. These words were just an excuse. Or perhaps, they wanted to get a share of the fortune from the martial god continent, which was one of the top 10 in the 3,000 worlds. However, no matter what, they were determined to kill Jun Haotian. All of them could be considered as Jun Haotian's enemies who sought revenge. And these enemies were all coming towards the martial god continent at an extremely fast speed. Soon they would completely descend upon the martial god continent. In the western desert, two phantom-like figures swept across the void with endless divine light and Buddhist light. They were like phantoms sweeping across the void at an extremely fast speed. These two figures were obviously Jun Haotian and Jin Luan, who came from the Langya sacred land to the western desert. Now they had left the Langya sacred land. It had been some time. Holy Lord of Langya, we are about to reach the abyss where the small Lane temple is located. Jin Luan glanced ahead and turned to remind Jun Haotian. Hearing this, Jun Haotian nodded calmly. As expected. After flying for a while, Jun Haotian could feel that there was a strange smell in the surrounding air. Is this the demonic qi there? Jun Haotian casually grabbed a strand of air and sniffed it. He was a little surprised. That's right. This is the demonic qi from the abyss. Jin Luan looked at the strand of black demonic qi in Jun Haotian's hand and his face became solemn. He didn't expect the demonic qi to spread to such a far distance in just a few days. Jin Luan said solemnly. Seeing this, Jun Haotian also nodded solemnly. He had also been to the small Lane temple in the western desert. This place was tens of thousands of miles away from the small Lane temple. It seemed that the abyss was getting worse. Even the small Lane temple was leaking demonic qi. Jun Haotian and Jin Luan continued to fly. When they were about 5 miles away from the small Lane temple, they saw the western desert Buddhists from the Diamond temple. Arhat. When Jun Haotian and Jin Luan got closer, the monks gathered around and bowed to Arhat and Jin Luan. These disciples were all Buddhists. Some were from the Diamond temple, while others were from the Alan temple, Shenkong temple, Xinxia temple and other Buddhist sections. Jin Luan waved his hand and introduced Jun Haotian to them. The person in front of me is the current Holy Lord of Langya. What? He is the Holy Lord of the Langya sacred land? Once Jin Luan's voice rang out, a look of astonishment appeared on the faces of these monks as they looked at Jun Haotian. They also knew that the Langya sacred land had a new Holy Lord. When Jun Haotian was the holy son of the Langya sacred land, they had also heard of the holy son of Haotian. I didn't expect the new Holy Lord of Langya to be so young. The monks sighed in their hearts. However, although Jun Haotian looked young, his cultivation was extremely powerful. He was not comparable to them who were only in the primordial soul Dharma plane or even the Yuandan plane. Moreover, in terms of status, Jun Haotian was now the Holy Lord of Langya. Compared to the true and core disciples of the Western Desert Buddhists, he was many levels higher. Greetings, Tai Holy Lord. Greetings, J Holy Lord. All the monks were respectful as they greeted Jun Haotian. Regarding this, Jun Haotian nodded his head non-committally. Has the Buddha made any arrangements for the abyss? Jin Luan asked the monks. He had left the western desert for some time and did not know what the Buddha of the Titanium Temple had decided on the abyss. Replying to the Arhat, the Buddha said that this abyss is very strange and we need to be careful. He has decided that every Buddhist sect will send one person to explore this abyss of creation that suddenly appeared. A monk said respectfully. The abbot has ordered that the exploration of the abyss will begin immediately when the Arhat returns with the Holy Lord. Arhat and Holy Lord, please wait here. I have already informed the others. Soon all the people who are exploring the abyss will appear here, another monk added. Jun Haotian did not have any objections to this. He and Jin Luan arrived and waited for less than half a day. Then, one after another, there were shocking rainbows shooting from the sky and landing in front of Jun Haotian. Greetings, Arhat, Holy Lord of Langya. Greetings, Arhat, Holy Lord of Langya. After these figures appeared, they bowed respectfully to Jin Luan and Jun Haotian, then stood aside respectfully. Soon all the Buddhist sects in the western desert had arrived. Orchid Moon Temple, Sky Cloud Temple, Qingling Temple, Shenkong Temple, Shenlu Temple and Yunfeng Temple. There were 6 people in total, all of whom were in the immortal realm. They were in the same realm as Jin Luan and Jun Haotian. Not long after everyone arrived, Jun Haotian and Jin Luan decided to explore the abyss. The 8 of them headed toward the abyss of the small Lain Temple. The surrounding demonic chi is getting thicker. When they were 10,000 miles away from the small Lain Temple, Jin Luan frowned and said. The rest of the 6 Buddhist sects also looked serious, as if they were facing a great enemy. They were still 30,000 miles away from the abyss of the small Lain Temple. The surrounding demonic chi was so thick that they could only see a few hundred meters ahead. Around them, wisps of black demonic chi were floating, like demonic insects that could devour people. It was terrifying. The people of the Buddhist sect, including Jin Luan, shifted their gazes toward Jun Haotian. Although the 8 of them were in the immortal realm, there was a huge gap between their strength. Except for Jin Luan, who was slightly better, the other 6 were just ordinary immortal realm experts. Jun Haotian was strong enough to kill the Lord of a holy land. His strength was the highest among all of them. Therefore everyone, including Jin Luan, looked at Jun Haotian, waiting for his opinion. However, Jun Haotian looked a little absent-minded at the moment. Jin Luan felt a little strange and reminded him. Jun Haotian seemed to have woken up. He looked at the moonlight around him and realized what had happened. He waved his hand and said, I'm fine. Let's move on. When Jin Luan and the rest saw this, although they were confused, they did not think too much about it when they saw that Jun Haotian was just distracted. The group continued to move towards the abyss of the small Lain Temple. What Jin Luan and the rest did not know was that Jun Haotian had sunk his mind into the furnace in his dantian and communicated with the fragment in the furnace. Chiyu, is the demonic chi here related to the demon tribe? Jun Haotian asked with his mind and transmitted it to the fragment that was being burned by the furnace. After waiting for a while, the fragment that was being burned by Shin Kong did not move, as if the fragment was dead. When Jun Haotian saw this, he snorted with his mind, just pretend to be dead. Do you think you will have any chance to escape from my furnace in the future? I advise you to give up on this thought and cooperate with me. Who knows, I might be able to keep a trace of your origin and not refine it completely. Jun Haotian hoped to squeeze the last bit of use out of Chiyu. After he transmitted his mind, there was still no movement from the fragment. Jun Haotian paid attention to it for a while and stopped paying attention to it. If Chiyu chose not to make a sound, then so be it. After all, Chiyu could not escape. When the origin was about to be refined, Chiyu would naturally be more anxious than him. At that time he might even beg him to cooperate. After withdrawing his mind from his body, Jun Haotian followed Jin Luan and continued to go deeper. Inside the furnace in his body, among the fragment. Chiyu's black demonic body was gritting his teeth in pain. It hurts. What the hell is this damn furnace? Chapter 252. Inside the furnace. The scorching divine flame was burning fiercely. The fragment that sealed Chiyu was burned red by the godly flames of the furnace, which were like maggots in the bones. Moreover, the divine flame was controlled by Jun Haotian. When it burned the fragment, it didn't affect it at all. The fragment didn't weaken or damage the seal on Chiyu. On the contrary, it burned Chiyu, who was sealed in the fragment. Damn the divine flame. Chiyu gritted his teeth when he felt all this. He was the demon ancestor who led thousands of demons. He was once majestic and glorious in the divine world. When had he ever suffered like this? Even when he was sealed in Mount Tai by Shen Yuan, Qiyu only fell into a deep sleep in the seal. He didn't suffer the pain and torture of Ming Xiao. However, now in Jun Haoyan's body he was trapped in an endless divine flame prison. He was sealed and kept burning. When the strange divine flame of the furnace burned, Qiyu felt an incomparable pain. This was also why Qiyu was so angry that he was about to explode from anger. This was the burning pain that went directly into the soul, the burning pain that went deep into the origin. It was not comparable to the burning of ordinary divine flames. Of course, Qiyu was the demon ancestor. If it was only this simple pain, although Qiyu felt pain, he could still endure it. However, while the divine flame was burning, it was also refining Qiyu's powerful origin bit by bit. It became Jun Haoyan's origin and kept strengthening Jun Haoyan. Qiyu, in the pain of being burned by the divine flame, felt that his origin was weakening all the time. He could feel a sense of weakness all over his body. This was what Qiyu, the demon ancestor, couldn't endure. Qiyu, can't get out of this furnace for the rest of my life? Can I only become someone's nourishment in the end? Qiyu gritted his teeth and thought sorrowfully. In the outside world, he did not have any powerful friends who could rescue him from Jun Haoyan's body. Besides, even if there was, he had to be able to ask for help first. Now that he was sealed in Jun Haoyan's body, other than being able to vaguely sense what was happening in the outside world, he couldn't send out any news at all. How could he call for help? Qiyu was on the brink of death. No, I am the demon ancestor. How can I be willing to perish? The only way out is to save yourself. Qiyu suddenly thought with a resolute expression. If I were to save myself, my sealed demonic body would continue to weaken. There's no other way. I can only find a breakthrough through Jun Haoyan. And this time, this abyss that is emitting demonic qi has given me an idea. As Qiyu pondered, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. Fortunately, there was always a way out. As long as he found a way, everything would be fine. After all, he had a thought, outside his body. Jin Luan personally led the way for Jun Haoyan. Jun Haoyan was surrounded by the rest of the Buddhists. The group of people quickly approached the abyss of the small thunder temple. The demonic qi here was extremely dense. What entered their eyes was a demonic qi that was as black as ink. It was so dark that they couldn't even see their own fingers. Among them, traces of cold and evil aura were emitted from the black demonic qi, causing people's hearts to tremble. Including Jin Luan, several Buddhist monks frowned slightly, revealing a trace of unwelcome feeling. Obviously, they all felt repulsed by the sinister and evil demonic qi. One by one, they quickly released the golden Buddha light in their body, forming a protective Buddha light. Only then did they feel a little better. Even Jin Luan didn't like the demonic qi touching his body. He released the Buddha light to protect his body. Among the crowd, only Jun Haoyan didn't feel any discomfort in the demonic qi. Instead, he was like a fish in water. He felt incomparably comfortable in the demonic qi. And if one immersed his mind into Jun Haoyan's body, he would find out. The encircling black demonic qi actually flowed continuously into Jun Haoyan's body through Jun Haoyan's pores. Then it went straight to the furnace in his dantian and disappeared. It seemed that the demonic qi was like a river, and Jun Haoyan's furnace was a flood outlet. No matter how much demonic qi there was, when it reached Jun Haoyan's dantian, it was all absorbed. Not even a trace of it leaked out. And after the demonic qi entered the furnace, it was refined into the purest form of energy by the divine flames of the power of the furnace. It was fed back to Jun Haoyan's body. Jun Haoyan could feel that as more and more demonic qi flowed in, his strength was also rapidly changing. This made Jun Haoyan very surprised. This is the effect of the demonic heaven-devouring skill. Jun Haoyan understood. It was the demonic heaven-devouring skill that absorbed all the demonic qi and then refined it into the purest energy in the furnace to strengthen Jun Haoyan's body. Moreover, because of the 100 scriptures of nurturing in the furnace, all his divine abilities, including the celestial demon god technique, the yin-yang nirvana technique, the indestructible divine body, the heavenly heart frost arrogance, and so on. All his divine abilities could benefit from it and be constantly strengthened. Come on, the more demonic qi the better. The more demonic qi there is, the faster my strength will grow. When the time comes, the time to break through to the immortal longevity realm will come sooner. Jun Haoyan was surprised and then accelerated the absorption of the demonic qi. This guy is refining the demonic qi. In the furnace, among the fragments, Qiyu thought in horror. A large amount of demonic qi was continuously injected into the furnace. Qiyu, who was also in the furnace, naturally felt it and was incomparably shocked. The endless demonic qi is actually being refined by him into the purest form of energy. What kind of cultivation technique does this terrifying fellow possess? Qiyu was shocked to the point of despair. Even when he was in his best condition, he couldn't do it so smoothly and easily. Such a cultivation method must be a world-shaking existence. It could be said that most of the cultivation techniques in the divine world were not comparable to it. At least, Qiyu had never seen such a cultivation technique. Such a brilliant cultivation technique. If I had this cultivation technique, how could I lose to Shenyuan and end up like this? Qiyu was jealous and almost wanted to hit the ground with his head in envy. Of course, there had to be a ground for him to hit his head on. There was no ground in the furnace, so Qiyu couldn't hit the ground with his head. Qiyu noticed Jun Haoyin's abnormality in the furnace and felt extremely shocked and jealous. Outside, Jin Luan and the others also noticed the abnormality. They all saw that the demonic qi in the surroundings was continuously flowing into Jun Haoyin's body and were instantly shocked. This demonic qi, could it be that the Holy Lord can absorb it? Jin Luan asked in surprise. The 6 monks of Qijin also looked curious. Yes, my cultivation technique is a little special. It can purify the demonic qi and use it for myself, Jun Haoyin said with a smile. His demonic heaven-devouring skill was already extremely proficient because of the 100 scriptures nurturing in the furnace. Even if he didn't circulate it, it could automatically accelerate the absorption of the demonic qi. As for the purification of the demonic qi, he wasn't lying to Jin Luan and the others. The divine flame in the furnace transformed the demonic qi into the most original energy. Wasn't it purifying the demonic qi? I see. The Holy Lord's cultivation technique is indeed special. I didn't expect it to be able to purify the demonic qi, Jin Luan exclaimed. The other 6 monks also had looks of admiration on their faces. No one doubted Jun Haoyin's claim that he could purify the demonic qi. They were Buddhists, so they were very sensitive to the demonic qi, which repelled the Buddhist qi and the demonic qi. They could clearly feel that after Jun Haoyin absorbed so much demonic qi, he didn't show any signs of demonization. Obviously he had stored the demonic qi. Or, as Jun Haoyin said, he had purified the demonic qi. They would rather believe the latter. This was because from the beginning until now Jun Haoyin had absorbed a huge amount of demonic qi. They didn't think that anyone's body could contain such a huge amount of demonic qi. The group continued to move forward until they were about 10,000 miles away from the rotten little Layin temple. The demonic qi in the surroundings became denser and denser. It was like a soul-sucking hurricane that swept past the 8 of them. With the exception of Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan, the faces of the other 6 monks turned pale. It was obvious that they were frightened by such a terrifying phenomenon. They didn't expect the demonic qi to be so dense even though they were only 10,000 miles away from the little Layin temple. It was like 2 different demon realms. The dense demonic qi caused their protective Buddha's light to tremble slightly. Fortunately, the Holy Lord Langya has absorbed the demonic qi and made the surrounding demonic qi thinner. Otherwise, I'm afraid we wouldn't dare to continue moving forward. The 6 monks all looked at Jun Haoyin with eyes full of gratitude and bliss. Although the Buddha's light on their bodies had the effect of restraining the demonic qi, the surrounding demonic qi was so dense that it made the restraining effect of the Buddha's light on the demonic qi extremely weak. Let's take a break here and wait for the Holy Lord to absorb the demonic qi before we continue moving forward. Jin Luan looked at the pale faces of the 6 monks and thought for a while before he suggested. He then looked at Jun Haoyin and asked for his opinion. Although this was the Western Desert, the person in charge here was obviously the most powerful person, Jun Haoyin. All right. Jun Haoyin didn't express his opinion. He was a little disappointed that he couldn't absorb all the demonic qi in the surroundings. Jin Luan's suggestion was exactly what he wanted. Hence, Jun Haoyin sat down cross-legged and activated the demonic heaven-devouring skill to absorb the demonic qi in the surroundings. At the side, Jin Luan and the others surrounded Jun Haoyin to protect him. The shockingly dense demonic qi was attracted by Jun Haoyin's huge attraction force. All the demonic qi rushed toward Jun Haoyin's body and formed a black funnel-shaped violent vortex above Jun Haoyin's head. Every moment, there was a large amount of demonic qi in Jun Haoyin's body. The demonic qi in the area became thinner at a speed visible to the naked eye. This speed of absorbing the demonic qi is simply terrifying. Jin Luan and the others were shocked when they saw the demonic qi whistling above Jun Haoyin's head. They had never seen such a terrifying scene of absorbing the demonic qi. In Jun Haoyin's body, the demonic chi was transformed into the purest energy by the divine flame in the furnace. This energy was stored by Jun Haoyan and turned into his foundation. There was so much demonic chi here. If all of it was turned into his foundation, it could raise his foundation to an extremely terrifying level. When Jun Haoyan advanced to the Undying Realm, all of his foundation would be unleashed and his cultivation would be raised to level 10 Undying Realm in one fell swoop. Time passed slowly while he was absorbing the demonic chi. Alright, let's continue. After the period it took for an incense to burn, Jun Haoyan stood up and said. Jin Luan and the others nodded. The demonic chi in the surroundings had become extremely thin. They could vaguely see the mountains not far away. The group continued to move forward. As they moved forward, it was inevitable that they would encounter areas with dense demonic chi. When they arrived at these areas, Jun Haoyan would stop and absorb the demonic chi before continuing to move forward. In the process of absorbing the demonic chi, Jun Haoyan's foundation was continuously strengthened. After a few days, the group of 8 finally arrived at the original location of the small Lane temple. We're finally here. Jin Luan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. After a long time they finally arrived at this place. This place has indeed become a wide abyss. Jun Haoyan came to the edge of the cliff. At the bottom of the cliff were 6 bottomless abyss. It was incomparably dark and demonic chi was howling. The dense demonic chi was almost liquefied as it floated in the abyss. In the depths of the abyss, one could faintly hear the mournful cries of blood, which made one shudder. This was obviously an abyss of demonic chi, and there were probably abnormally terrifying demons in it. It seemed that this was a demonic abyss. Moreover, it seemed to be different from the Mount Tai that appeared in the Vermilion Bird Empire. There seemed to be no isolation array or anything like that. Anyone can come here, Lin Feng said. Jin Luan glanced at the bottom of the abyss and then looked around. Finally he turned to Jun Haoyan and said. Jun Haoyan nodded. This was undoubtedly the demonic abyss. The closer they got to the abyss, the more he felt that this place was similar to the place where Mount Tai sealed Chiyu. Since we have already ascertained that there is no array here, why don't we go back and report to the abbot of the Diamond Temple and gather the strength of the temple to suppress this demonic abyss? Jin Luan pondered for a moment and suggested to Jun Haoyan. The other 6 monks nodded in agreement. Chapter 253. Such an unusual devil abyss definitely contained an extremely frightening danger. If they were to explore it rashly, they would definitely encounter unavoidable dangers. There was really no need to take such a huge risk and force their way into the abyss. This was what Jin Luan and the other 6 monks were thinking. Of course, they were also thinking about other things. Pai Ru was afraid that Emperor Xia would take everything in the abyss for himself. Jun Haoyan had already absorbed all the demonic energy around the abyss. They had to be careful. What if there were extremely precious Dharma treasures at the bottom of the abyss? Therefore, the 7 of them, including Jin Luan, looked at Jun Haoyan, hoping that he would agree to their proposal. Jun Haoyan glanced at Jin Luan and the others. He naturally guessed what they were thinking. They were probably jealous of him for absorbing all the demonic energy. However, he did not intend to expose them. After all, this abyss was indeed very dangerous for Z. He was not alone now. He was also the Holy Lord of Langya's sacred ground. He could not take the risk alone. Therefore he decided to agree. However, just as he was about to say yes, a voice rang out in his mind. Little brother, wait. The voice was a little cold, as if it was enduring pain. Jun Haoyan raised his eyebrows and sank a little of his consciousness into the elixir furnace in his body. Chiyu, why are you willing to speak? What? Are you not mute anymore? In Jun Haoyan's mind, there was an undisguised sense of mockery. Within the fragments of the furnace, Chiyu said helplessly, haven't I thought it through? Right now, my life is in little brother's hands. I have no other choice. I choose to work with little brother. Jun Haoyan's consciousness was filled with disbelief. Little brother, I sincerely want to cooperate with you. Okay, I believe you. Tell me, how do you want to cooperate with me? Also, why did you stop me just now? Chiyu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Jun Haoyan didn't want to hear his explanation. This is Jun Haoyan no matter what. Was he unable to escape from Jun Haoyan's body? Thinking of this, Chiyu suddenly fell silent. After a while, Chiyu slowly said, I know that there is a demon sealed in the abyss below. It is quite troublesome for you. I'll help you deal with him. Upon hearing this, Jun Haoyan asked in surprise, are you saying that because you've thought of what you want? What I want is very simple. There is a huge amount of devil chi in the abyss below. Even if your cultivation method is extraordinary, it is impossible to absorb it all in such a short time. When the people from the Vajra temple arrive, I'm afraid they won't let you absorb the devil chi here. Chiyu analyzed. I can use my demonic arts to store this demonic chi. When the time comes, we'll split it 73. I'll take 30 and you take 70. How about it? Chiyu felt that this benefit was incomparably clear. He began to wait for Jun Haoyan to agree. However, when Jun Haoyan heard this, he only sneered. Why are you not satisfied? How about 82? Chiyu took another step back. However, Jun Haoyan still sneered. Don't tell me you want 91. Thinking of this, Chiyu's face turned a little ugly. If it really didn't work out, he would accept a 91 split. After all, in his current state he could be refined at any moment. Even if it was just a strand of competitive chi, it was extremely important. It could delay the time for him to be refined. Chiyu, aren't you underestimating my cultivation method? Jun Haoyan's mind was filled with disdain. In the face of such a huge amount of devil chi, other cultivation methods were useless. Could it be that his 100 scriptures of nurturing and heaven-devouring demonic art were also useless? Immediately he operated the heaven-devouring demonic art with all his strength. Endless devil chi, like a torrent, continuously poured into Jun Haoyan's furnace. The fragments in the furnace trembled slightly. Among the fragments in the furnace, Chiyu was tongue-tied and couldn't even speak. He looked at everything in the furnace in disbelief. It turned out that when he absorbed the devil chi before, he didn't use all his strength. Now he was using all his strength. Seeing this, Chiyu revealed a wry smile and felt a little helpless. If this was the case, wouldn't it be a joke that he helped Jun Haoyan absorb the devil chi and split everything? Chiyu smiled bitterly. Outside Jun Haoyan's body, Jin Luan and the other 6 monks were shocked to find that after the Holy Lord of Langya was silent for a while, an unparalleled attractive force burst out from his body. This attractive force was so strong that even the devil chi in the entire abyss was like a calm lake, stirring up monstrous waves. The endless devil chi turned into tornadoes of devil chi that swept out from the abyss and went into Jun Haoyan's body. The whistling demonic chi surged through the bodies of the Luo clan's group, causing them to be unable to stand steadily. This place has formed a devil chi storm. Jin Luan and the others smiled bitterly and could only step back helplessly. The endless devil chi enveloped Jun Haoyan, making Jin Luan and the others unable to see the situation inside. As Jin Luan and the others waited with difficulty, only an hour had passed, and the devil chi in the abyss was almost depleted. The devil chi that enveloped Jun Haoyan's body also seemed a little thin. Gong Ku. Jin Luan and the other 6 monks looked at each other and saw the shock hidden in each other's eyes. If they were not sensitive to devil chi and knew that Jun Haoyan could not be a member of the devil clan, they would have suspected Jun Haoyan. After a while, the devil chi in the deep lake was almost depleted. After Jun Haoyan absorbed the surrounding devil chi, he stretched his body. Suddenly, a sound like muffled thunder came from his body. It was the sound of bones touching each other. At the same time, an incomparably vast aura came out of Jun Haoyan's body like a wild dragon. The endless divine power shook and was then restrained by Jun Haoyan. My other accumulation has reached an extreme level. As long as I break through to the immortal and undying realm, I will definitely be able to reach the peak of the 10th tier without having to cultivate one tier at a time. Jun Haoyan was slightly delighted. Refining all the demonic chi into his foundation was indeed the right choice. If it were not for his strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant, which was the nemesis of this evil energy, he would not have been able to achieve this with just his heaven-devouring demonic skill. Holy Lord of Langya, you have become even stronger. Jin Luan and the others were shocked. Looking at Jun Haoyan's dragon-like aura, they were shocked. On the surface, Jun Haoyan's realm did not seem to have improved. However, they absolutely believed that the current Jun Haoyan was definitely many times more powerful than before. Jun Haoyan slightly checked the state of his body and looked at the abyss below the cliff. Since the devil chi is gone, it should be fine to go down and explore, right? Jun Haoyan said. Of course. At this point, Jin Luan naturally had no objections. Then Jun Haoyan flew up and flew down into the abyss. Since all the devil chi had been absorbed by Jun Haoyan, their speed was not hindered and they flew down quickly. Below them was the bottom of the abyss and the cliffs on both sides were full of holes. Inside the holes there were strangely shaped corpses. Some of them had the appearance of demonic beasts, but they were different and seemed to have been demonized. It seemed that these were the local demonic beasts that were affected by the devil chi, demonized, and came to live in the abyss. However, now that all the devil chi had been removed, these demonized demonic beasts were dead. Jun Haoyin looked at the cliffs on both sides thoughtfully. Roar. While he was thinking, an ear-piercing roar suddenly came from in front of him. Jun Haoyin raised his head in confusion, only to see a demonic ape with a gust of wind beneath its feet as it leaped across the void and pounced toward him. The demonic mouth was open and sharp teeth were densely packed, as if it was going to swallow Jun Haoyin. Humph! Jun Haoyin snorted coldly and directly attacked. Behind him, endless thick fog spread out. In the thick fog, a sea of blood appeared. 62 terrifying, domineering, godlike figures walked out and stood behind Jun Haoyin. These were the 62 demon gods that were manifested by the celestial demon god technique. They were like the gods of all living beings above everything. A terrifying aura spread out. The might of the 62 demon gods was all added to Jun Haoyin's body. Suddenly the aura on Jun Haoyin's body rose violently. In just a moment, Jun Haoyin's aura became like that of the King of Kings. Then Jun Haoyin clenched his fist and directly attacked the demonized ape in front of him. A terrifying power fell on the demonized ape's body. In the fog, its ferocious expression froze and turned into a painful expression. After a loud explosion, the huge demonic ape's body directly exploded into countless blood foams and floated down to the ground. It was just a Yuan-Dan demonic beast. Jun Haoyin looked at the blood fog that slowly fell from the sky and frowned slightly. He had thought that this demonized demonic ape would be extremely powerful. He had even used the celestial demon god technique. Now it seemed that it was unnecessary to finish it. Boom, boom. At the same time there were several explosions around them. Jun Haoyin turned his head and saw Jin Luan and the others killing some of the demonized beasts that pounced in front of them. These demonized beasts were not very strong. They were all in the Yuan-Dan realm. We have reached the bottom of the abyss. The demonized beasts here are not dead yet. Jin Luan turned his head and said to Jun Haoyin. Hearing this, Jun Haoyin nodded to show that he understood. At the bottom of the abyss, there was a shallow layer of demonic aura that allowed these demonic beasts to breathe. So they were not all dead and still had the strength to attack them. Jun Haoyin didn't care about this small amount of demonic aura. He had gathered enough demonic aura in his body and all of it had been transformed into his foundation. Now his foundation was strong enough. It was enough to support him after he broke through the immortal realm and raised his strength to the 10th level. There was no need to absorb this demonic aura at all. There is nothing unusual at the bottom of the abyss here. Jin Luan said with some doubts. It should be that we haven't reached the place where the Vajra temple is located. If I'm not wrong, if there is anything strange in this abyss, it must be under the original small thunder temple. That's true. Jin Luan nodded. Then the group walked in the abyss and headed in the direction of the small thunder temple. Sure enough, as they moved forward, the surrounding demonic aura became a little stronger. It seemed that the place where they had landed before was just the edge of the abyss. After walking like this for half a day, the surrounding demonic aura had reached a height of 10 feet and had long gone beyond their bodies. But when they looked up, they could only see a black and flat demonic aura on the ground and the sky without a speck of it. Jun Haoyin was walking when he suddenly felt a sense of security and stopped. Saint Lord, what's wrong? Jin Luan and the others looked at Jun Haoyin in confusion. They didn't know why he suddenly stopped. There was still some distance in the direction of the small thunder temple. Jun Haoyin didn't say a word. Instead, he leaped up with an expressionless face. Jin Luan was very surprised. After thinking for a while, he said to the other 6 monks, "Wait here. I'll follow and take a look." Then, Di Rulai followed Jun Haoyin's footsteps and flew up. In the blink of an eye they disappeared. Only the 6 monks were left, looking at each other in confusion. What's there to see? Previously, Jun Haoyin and Jiang Budwa had sucked all the demonic aura in the abyss dry. There should only be about 10 feet of demonic aura above them. There should be no air above them. Puzzled and confused, they had no choice but to sit down cross-legged and wait. About 1,000 miles above them, Jun Haoyin's figure was flying through the air. His face was unusually gloomy. With a distance of 1,000 miles, he should be able to fly out of the abyss. However, there was still a dark and eerie demonic aura in front of him. It was extremely strange. Right at that moment, a figure caught up to him from below. Jun Haoyin looked back and found that it was Jin Luan. "Saint Lord, it seems like we've been tricked." Jin Luan came to Jiang Chen's side and said with a gloomy face. Obviously he had also noticed the strange situation here. However, Jun Haoyin's face fell and he shouted at Jin Luan. "Why are you here?" Jin Luan was startled and wanted to explain. "Don't say anything, let's go back." Jun Haoyan didn't say anything and pulled Jin Luan towards the bottom of the abyss. Chapter 254. Jin Luan looked at Jun Haoyan's rushing figure and was very puzzled. Suddenly, Jin Luan seemed to think of something. He was shocked and his face suddenly became abnormally pale. Could it be? Jin Luan already had a very heavy guess in his heart. This guess could only be confirmed when he returned to the original place of the abyss. The distance of 1,000 miles was quickly covered by Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan with the amazing speed of the immortal 10,000 years realm. When the two of them arrived at the original place of the abyss, they found that where the other 6 monks had been, they were nowhere to be seen. Instead, there were 6 traces of being dragged on the pitch-black ground. They were all dragged away by the demons of this abyss. Seeing this scene, Jun Haoyan said with a somewhat serious face, "In such a strange abyss, the end of the 6 monks could be imagined if they were dragged by the demons. It was definitely a situation where there was almost no hope of survival." Seeing this scene, Jin Luan suddenly felt a pain in his heart. He quickly closed his eyes and put his palms together to recite the sutra. After a full year, Jin Luan finished reciting the prayer scripture. He opened his red eyes and said with a pained expression, "It's all my fault. If I hadn't stopped, maybe they wouldn't have ended up like this. I don't know if they're dead or alive after being killed by the demon." Jin Luan's tone was full of self-blame. Seeing this, Jun Haoyan shook his head slightly. This Buddha of the Vajra temple had a merciful heart. In fact, if they were to talk about responsibility, Jun Haoyan's responsibility was even greater. However, Jun Haoyan would not force anything, nor would he blame himself for this. In his view, this was the fate of the 6 monks. If you stopped, maybe you would also be dragged away by the demons. Hearing Jin Luan's words, Jun Haoyan shook his head and said, "How could these demons be? They are just some demonic beasts. This poor monk still has some confidence in his own strength. A mere Yuan Dan demonic beast, this poor monk can deal with it." Jin Luan retorted to Jun Haoyan's words. However, before he finished his words, he was interrupted by Jun Haoyan. "Listen." Jun Haoyan's face suddenly became very serious. Jin Luan was stunned and then listened carefully. Roar. Then, as the golden wheel listened, it heard many complicated and oppressive roars of beasts, coming from the dense mist of demon chi. The continuous roar of beasts was like the roar of thunder, and the next moment the mountains would collapse in the earth. Is this the roar of demonic beasts? There are so many voices. Could there be a magical beast army hiding behind the demonic fog? Jin Luan's heart suddenly felt uneasy. "I'm afraid so." Jun Haoyan squinted his eyes and looked beyond the thick fog. It was as if he could see through the fog and see the cold and evil eyes in the depths of the fog, and the bloody mouths of the demonic beasts dripping with saliva. Wah, wah. Those dull roars of beasts were getting louder and louder, and they were no longer concealed. It was like the roar of the waves, and it was incomparably frightening. Rumble. After a while. In addition to the roars that were like waves, there was also an earth-shattering sound. It was as if there was a huge monster, rushing towards Jiang Chen and the others. Even the earth was shaking because of the vibrating ring. Rocks of different sizes on the cliffs on both sides of the abyss were shaken and fell down. It was really a strange scene of mountains collapsing and the earth cracking. However, Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan both knew that all of this was caused by the tide of demonic beasts rushing towards them from the depths of the abyss. "Get ready for battle." Sensing this scene, Jun Haoyan immediately said. Since they couldn't fly out of the abyss, even if they flew upwards, they couldn't go back either. They could only explore the strangeness of the abyss to the end. At this point, other than fighting, there was no other way. Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan, one of them was the Saint Lord of Langya Holy Land, the other was the Buddha of Diamond Temple. They were not afraid of this battle at all. Immediately behind Jun Haoyan, there were 12 overbearing figures of demon gods appearing in the sea of blood. The demon gods that were as strong as the gods made Jun Haoyan look like the king of gods, and he was above all living beings. He was above all with the aura of a divine king. On Jin Luan's side, there was a golden Buddha light that covered his whole body with a layer of Buddha light. The golden light was dazzling. Then, while the two of them were waiting, the roars of the beasts became louder and louder, like thunder. Suddenly, in the depths of the misty clouds in front of them, countless green eyes appeared. It was terrifying to look at. Immediately after, thousands of pitch-black demonized demonic wolves opened their bloody mouths and howled as they pounced towards Jun Haoyan. Celestial Demon God Technique. Seeing the demonic beasts attacking, Jun Haoyan's eyes narrowed. Then he casually punched forward. When he made his move, something happened behind him. The 12 demon gods who were above all living things also cast their divine auras on him. In other words, Jun Haoyan's punch carried the divine power of the 12 demon gods. It was extremely terrifying. Boom. The endless power of the punch, mixed with an unparalleled momentum, suddenly blasted on the group of demonized demonic beasts in front of them. In the blink of an eye, these demonized demonic beasts were directly smashed into pieces. The tens of thousands of demonized demonic beasts that pounced on Jun Haoyan were directly annihilated, disappearing without a trace. Even the demonic beasts on the backs of the demonized beasts were caught in the blast. A long and shocking gully spread from Jun Haoyan's feet in the direction of the demonized demonic beasts. This punch, at least a number of demonized demonic beasts were directly turned into bubbles. Jin Luan was also shocked by this scene. It should be known that he burst out all the magical powers in his body, and the Golden Buddha Light Forces only killed thousands of demonized demonic beasts in the end. Compared with the terrifying power caused by Jun Haoyan, it was not worth mentioning. The power of the demon god and the Golden Buddha Light were constantly blooming in this dark demonic aura. Every time, thousands of demonized demonic beasts were killed. After just half an hour, the number of demonized demonic beasts' corpses in this area had reached an extremely terrifying level, simply piling up like a mountain. Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan did not even have a place to stand. They could only float above the void. Their hands did not stop at all, and their magical powers were wantonly scattered, taking away the lives of countless demonized demonic beasts. Even though the number of demonic beasts contained in this demonized demonic beast tide was astonishing, under the two's magical powers, the number of demonic beasts was reduced rapidly. Boom. As Jun Haoyan blasted out a punch, the power of the celestial demon god technique was enhanced. The vast divine power blasted in front, and the remaining hundreds of demonized demonic beasts were directly smashed into pieces. This world finally quieted down. Only fine pieces of flesh and blood were still falling from the sky, and the ground was also filled with countless bodies and corpse fragments of the demonized demonic beasts. The huge number of demonized demonic beasts was finally killed by Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan. Jin Luan was a little out of breath. Although these demonized demonic beasts were only at the level of Yuan Dan, there was nothing to be afraid of. But the number was too large. It was too difficult to kill all of these demonized demonic beasts, and it took a lot of magic power. Jun Haoyan, on the other hand, looked calm. His foundation was frighteningly huge, and his Jin Yuan was also extremely profound. Although he had put in the most effort in this battle, he had not consumed much of his energy. Holy Lord, this place has become a place of trouble. Why don't we retreat now and ask for help from the Titanium Temple? Jin Luan looked ahead, still in the depths of a thick layer of fog, and was a little worried. If they continued to move forward, they were afraid that there would be great danger. At that time, their life and death would be uncertain. It's useless. Hearing this, Jun Haoyan slowly shook his head and said, "Do you remember that before we flew up 1,000 miles but we still couldn't fly out of this abyss? I guess it's the same if we retreat. In short, I guess we are trapped in this place and no matter what, we can't get out. Is that so?" Hearing this, Jin Luan's face darkened. In fact, he already had some guesses. Now that he heard what Jun Haoyan said, he felt that it was very likely to be true. Then how should we get out of this situation? But we don't even know what kind of formation is trapped in here. How can we get out of this situation? Are we going to be trapped here forever? Thinking of the current situation, Jin Luan's expression was a little heavy. If that was the case, they just had to wait for the people of the Titanium Temple to find out that they had not returned from exploring the abyss for so long and send people to look for them. Only then would they be rescued. That's not necessarily true. Hearing this, Jun Haoyan shook his head. Holy Lord, do you have a way to get out of this situation? Could it be that you have found the formation core here? Hearing this, Jin Luan's eyes suddenly lit up. No, the formation core of this formation is hidden very well. Even I couldn't find it. Jun Haoyan directly denied. Then why? Jin Luan was a little confused. Since they could not find the formation core and get out of this situation, how were they going to get out of here? I don't have any way to get out of here. However, I know that as long as we destroy the thing in the depths of the demonic chi abyss, this formation will break by itself. Jun Haoyan said with a smile. His tone was full of confidence and dominance. So that's what the Holy Lord is planning? Seeing this, Jun Haoyan suddenly understood. This was Jun Haoyan's usual style. In the face of all threats, he had always directly eradicated all threats. Since he used this formation to trap us and fight to leave a passage for us to enter the depths of the abyss, it's obvious that he wants to wait for us to enter. Then let's do as he pleases. Jun Haoyan sneered. He hoped that the demon here would not regret it. Let's go. Immediately, Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan flew directly into the depths of the demonic chi abyss. While they were flying through the city, there were still some scattered demonic beasts rushing out of the fog from all directions, pouncing on Jun Haoyan and Li Wuyo. However, they were easily destroyed by Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan. The two of them flew and killed along the way. Soon they had flown a distance of 800 to 900 miles. Holy Lord, the mountain range where the small thunder temple is located is right in front of us. Suddenly, Jin Luan reminded Jun Haoyan. Okay. Jun Haoyan immediately stopped. He naturally remembered the location of the small thunder temple. The two of them went into the depths of the small thunder temple's original location. However, as far as the eye could see, there was only black demonic chi. There was nothing else to see. Jin Luan was also very helpless. Could it be that they had to go forward blindly like this? Just as he was thinking about this, he suddenly found that there was a terrifying suction force beside him. All the demonic chi in the surroundings flew towards that suction force. Jin Luan looked over and was surprised to find that it was coming from Jun Haoyan. I forgot that the Holy Lord has the ability to absorb demonic chi. Seeing this scene, Jin Luan suddenly laughed at himself. Jun Haoyan activated the devouring heaven fortune demon art and erupted with an unparalleled suction force, attracting all the demonic chi in the vicinity. His speed was very fast. In just a short while, the surrounding pitch-black demonic chi began to thin. After a while, all the demonic chi within 10,000 meters was temporarily absorbed by Jun Haoyan. His vision suddenly became very clear. He could see through space and see some things in the distance. What is that? Suddenly, Jin Luan was surprised. He stretched out his hand and pointed to the front, a little surprised. Jun Haoyan immediately stopped activating the cultivation technique and looked in the direction that Jin Luan was pointing at. He saw a faintly discernible mountain range surrounded by a thin layer of black demonic chi. Looking at the appearance of the mountain range, it was exactly the same as the mountain range on the ground where the small Lain temple was originally located. Moreover, at the peak of the mountain range there was also a temple. Traces of black demonic chi surrounded it, making it look strange and eerie and cold. That is not the small Lain temple. Jun Haoyan glanced at it and said almost at the same time as Jin Luan. The mountain range where the temple was located was very similar to the original mountain range of the small Lain temple. However, Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan, who had seen the original appearance of the small Lain temple, could recognize the difference between this temple and the small Lain temple at a glance. Apart from the different atmosphere between the two temples, the eaves, bricks and pillars of this temple were more magnificent and grand than the small Lain temple. In addition, this temple faintly revealed a trace of evil and eerie aura. It was as if this was the temple of a devil god, which made people feel fearful. Such a temple, standing quietly on the mountain range surrounded by demonic chi, seemed to be waiting for Jun Haoyan to come and explore it. It was very strange and unusual. Jun Haoyan stared at the temple as if he could see through the things in the temple. There was no trace of fear in his eyes. The only thing he had was a strong sense of confidence in the upcoming battle, as well as an urge to give it a try. This was because, just a moment ago, Chi Yu in his body had transmitted a voice to him. Chapter 255. Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan did not show the slightest hint of fear in their eyes. At this point they had no choice but to fight. Whether it was a demon or a ghost in front of them, they were prepared to fight. Without the slightest hesitation, the two of them flew toward the mountain in front of them. They were getting closer and closer to the strange temple. Vaguely, the two of them could feel that there was a powerful and cold light shrouding them. The owner of this gaze must be very powerful. Feeling the gaze, Jin Luan was shocked and became very cautious. As for Jun Haoyan, he felt the descent of this gaze and instantly understood. Could it be that an extremely powerful demon was sealed in this temple as well? After all, there was a demon ancestor in his body. Moreover, his divine elephant overpowering strength was also the nemesis of evil beings like the demon clan. He had never been afraid of evil beings like the king. Instead, he hoped that more of them would appear and become his nourishment to strengthen himself. The two of them flew to the foot of the mountain. Suddenly, the world darkened as if there was a cold wind blowing down from the top of the mountain. They could not help but stop. It seemed that the first demon or ghost was about to arrive. Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan looked at each other and waited eagerly to see what the first thing to greet them would be. Clang, clang. While the two of them were waiting, the sound of an army of soldiers suddenly came from the top of the mountain. Then there was a sound of the mountain shaking, like a muffled explosion of thunder. A torrent of steel rushed down from the top of the mountain. It was an army of steel demon soldiers. Every demon soldier was holding a powerful magical treasure in their hands. Riding on demonic beasts, they rushed down the mountain, chasing after Jun Haoyan and Jun Haoyan. This is a demon army. I didn't expect that there would be a demon army hidden here. When Jin Luan saw this, he was extremely surprised. That's right. Moreover, there are more than 10,000 demon soldiers in this army. Every demon soldier is at the first level of the Dharma Laksana realm. Their auras are connected to each other. They are not even afraid of the immortal creator realm. Jun Haoyan looked at the demon army with flickering eyes. Immortal creator. Hearing this, Jin Luan's pupils suddenly shrank. Who would have thought that when these demon soldiers joined forces, they would be able to unleash such a powerful force? There shouldn't be any formation or secret technique on the martial god continent that could unite an army and achieve the battle prowess of an immortal creator. Arhat Jin Luan said in surprise. That's right. This army must have been sealed here during the ancient era. Jun Haoyan continued. He was likely not as powerful as fiend ancestor Qiyu. The demon ancestor, Qiyu, had used the entire Mount Tai to seal it, and Shenyuan had personally sealed it. Not only were the demon soldiers sealed here, but even the abyss was not as powerful as Mount Tai. Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, all the demon soldiers spread out to the two sides of the mountain ridge and struck the ground with their weapons. The sound was as loud as a tsunami, and they let out shrill cries. They seemed to be waiting for their leader to arrive. Seeing this scene, Jin Luan said with some surprise. To be able to control an army of 10,000 devil soldiers, what kind of person is he? Jun Haoyan looked at the army in confusion, waiting for the arrival of that person. Thump, thump. Soon after, Jun Haoyan saw an abnormally tall demonic horse slowly walk down from the top of the mountain. On the back of the demon horse sat an evil demon general with a ferocious face and pitch-black demonic tattoos. Demon general. Seeing this, Jin Luan's pupils shrank and he looked slightly shocked. Jun Haoyan glanced at him. It seemed like he knew something. This demon general is at the immortal creator realm. Jun Haoyan looked at the ferocious demon general and saw through his strength. Human, a fresh human. That devil general stopped his horse and sniffed towards Jun Haoyan. Then, a trace of greed appeared on his face as he laughed mischievously. Hearing the demon general's words, the other 10,000 demon soldiers opened their mouths slightly, as if they were drooling. Jun Haoyan was speechless. Every time the demon soldiers who were saved by the seal saw a fresh human, they would show such an expression. It was really a little speechless. Ignorant human, how dare you appear in front of us? Today is the day you die. The ferocious demon general pointed his long spear at Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan and said with a cold look in his eyes. Following demon general Yenda's words, all the demon soldiers roared excitedly, and their voices shook the heavens and earth. Demon general Yenda took the lead, leading 10,000 demon soldiers, and rushed towards Jun Haoyan aggressively. Like a giant door opening, they swallowed Jun Haoyan and Jin Luan. Seeing this, Jin Luan's expression was incomparably solemn. He immediately activated the Buddhist Heart Sutra, and golden Buddhist light spread out, covering his body with a layer of golden plating. Buddhist golden body. Then Jin Luan's expression changed, and he used another Buddhist superpower. In the blink of an eye, his body became as transparent as glass, as grand and imposing as a Buddha. His aura rose rapidly from the immortal longevity realm, and it seemed to have broken through the limit of the immortal longevity realm, and there was a hint of the immortal undying realm. Jun Haoyan looked at this Arhat of the Vajra temple with a glance. It seemed like this Arhat Jin Luan was quite capable. It was rare to see someone in the immortal fifth realm who could unleash strength that did not belong to their own realm. But coincidentally he was also one of them. Jun Haoyan's gaze shifted to the front of the army. There was a demon general with a terrifying aura standing at the front. His expression turned cold. Indestructible heavenly god body. With a thought, Jun Haoyan activated the indestructible heavenly god body, the supreme body refining emperor art in his body, and it circulated 10,000 times in an instant. An immortal aura spread out from his body, and it was immortal and indestructible. Nothing could change Jun Haoyan's body. At this moment he was like a god, and his light shone on the endless heaven and earth, giving people an impulse to worship him. His divine power was boundless. Demon General Yenda shouted, and all the demon chi in his body was injected into the pitch-black demon spear in his hand. As the pitch-black chi swirled around, a series of violent dragon roars could be heard. This left Jun Haoyan a little speechless. It seemed that this demon general really had some skills. Hee hee. Demon General Yenda laughed and threw the demon spear, which was shrouded in black demon chi, up. Suddenly the demon spear became as big as a mountain, and endless power overflowed from it. It had the power to split the heaven and earth. Looking at the peerless demon spear above his head, Demon General Yenda felt proud. This was one of his supreme divine abilities. Although his body was extremely weak now, and he could not display the full power of this divine ability, it should not be a problem for him to deal with an immortal 10,000 life realm brat who used some secret technique to increase his combat strength. Today I will let you know how terrifying I, Demon General Wende, am. Demon General Yenda's expression turned cold, and he looked at Jun Haoyan as if he was looking at a corpse. Go! The terrifying demon spear above his head, which was as big as a mountain, suddenly moved. In the blink of an eye, it turned into an illusory shadow, cutting through space at an extremely fast speed, and rushed towards Jun Haoyan. The power was so terrifying that even Jun Haoyan felt a slight sense of danger. The demon general grinned, waiting for the moment when Jun Haoyan would be crushed by the mountain-like demon spear. Be careful, Saint Lord. The power of this demon spear is extremely terrifying. You can't underestimate it. Jin Luan's eyes also shrank, and he quickly reminded Jun Haoyan. As for Jun Haoyan, he merely glanced at the mountain-like demonic spear with an indifferent expression. It seems like this is all you have? Jun Haoyan's voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Demon General Yenda's face suddenly froze. What does he mean by this? Is he looking down on me, Guda? Suddenly, a trace of anger rose in his heart. He would let this kid know the consequences of underestimating him. The demon spear in the void seemed to have heard its master's anger, and the aura on its body became even more frenzied. Like a huge wild beast, it suddenly rushed towards Jun Haoyan, as if it wanted to tear Jun Haoyan apart. Seeing this scene, Jun Haoyan's eyes shrank, and he wanted to stop the demon weapon. Celestial Demon God Technique, Fall. However, at this moment, a faint voice rang out, and it made Jin Luan's movements inexplicably stop. When he turned his head, he saw Jun Haoyan speaking indifferently. In the void in front of Jun Haoyan, the power of the fist, which was suspended in the air, fell directly towards Demon General Yende. Boom! A huge sound as if the sky and earth were falling apart, suddenly rang out. In an instant. Whether it was the mountain-like demon spear or Yenda, who was sneering, they were all instantly vaporized by Jun Haoyan's terrifying power of the fist. Even the 10,000 demon soldiers who were running for their lives in the distance were also affected by the power of the fist, and were also shattered into pieces. None of them survived. Only a huge pit was left on the ground, and it made one's heart tremble with fear. This is too terrifying, isn't it? Jin Luan's eyes almost popped out when he saw this scene, and he looked at all this in shock. His face was full of disbelief. One should know that this demon general was not a weakling, but a real immortal creator realm expert. If it was him, he would be thankful if he could escape from Yenda's hands with his life. Not to mention Jun Haoyan, who directly tore Yenda and his demon army into pieces with a single punch. This really subverted Jin Luan's worldview. He had never seen or heard of anyone like Jun Haoyan, who could cross so many great realms to kill an enemy. Moreover, he was an existence that could crush and reap lives with a crushing force. Sigh, it seems that there is no chance for me to make a move here. Seeing this scene, Jin Luan sighed helplessly. In front of such a powerful Jun Haoyan, if there was a problem that even Jun Haoyan could not solve, then there was no need for him to make a move, and he could just close his eyes and wait for death. This power is not bad. Jun Haoyan looked at the incomparably huge crater in front of her and nodded her head in satisfaction. This was the first time she was able to combine so many powerful sacred arts together and superimpose them on each other to reach an extreme state. This was also his first experiment, and the result of the experiment was quite satisfactory. However, when so many powerful superpowers are combined together and displayed at the same time, I am afraid that I am the only one who can do it. The reason why he could display so many superpowers at the same time was that he was incomparably familiar with these superpowers, and also had an inseparable relationship with his Cauldron of 100 Scriptures. It was because of his Cauldron of 100 Scriptures that so many superpowers were combined into a state that could be changed at will, as if they were originally one. That was why he could display so many superpowers so easily. And when he was displaying them at the same time, Jun Haoyan could feel that he was not displaying many superpowers at the same time, but displaying one superpower at the same time. It was extremely smooth and smooth. Let's go, let's continue moving forward. I want to see what is in this temple. Jun Haoyin looked at the temple at the end of the mountain range, sneered, and stepped on the road forward, flying directly to the top of the mountain. Jin Luan put away his senses and also followed behind Jun Haoyin to the top of the mountain range. But there was a difference from before. Originally, he was incomparably worried about this trip, and even felt that there would be unavoidable dangers. But after Demon General Yenda was killed by Jun Haoyin, he became even more at ease. No matter what kind of danger it was, Jun Haoyin knew how to deal with it. There seems to be no demonic beasts in this mountain range. Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan flew all the way. It was strange for them to see a group of demonized demonic beasts in the county. Maybe the demonic beasts in this mountain range were all killed in the previous demonic beast tide. Jun Haoyin looked at the empty black mountain range and guessed in his heart. Hee hee. When they were flying, two strange laughter suddenly came from the front, which made Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan's heart tremble, and they stopped. Could it be Lan Lu again? Jin Luan said with some uneasiness. Hee hee, this human, you are really smart. You actually guessed it right. I like your soft skin and tender flesh. Smart human, but I really don't like the aura of your body. A short and wretched old man, who had unknowingly floated in the void in front of them, with his hands in his sleeves, wearing a wretched smile, and laughed. Chapter 256. The short elder was clearly a demon general, and his aura had already reached the peak of the immortal creator realm. Behind him, there were 1,000 demon soldiers who were equally short and had bulging scimitars on their backs. They held daggers that glowed with white light in their hands. They looked coldly at Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan, as though they would pounce on them in the next moment. The 1,000 demon soldiers had auras that were above the 5th level of the Dharmalaksana realm. Their auras seemed to be connected. It seemed like they were using some kind of powerful combo attack. Jin Luan's heart sank when he saw this. Although the number of demon soldiers this time was much smaller, their combat strength was not much weaker than Yenda's demon army. When Jun Haoyin saw this, he slapped his forehead and said helplessly, "Why do we have to come one by one? It's like breaking through a barrier." When the short elder heard this, he laughed and said, "As great demon generals, we naturally can't be outnumbered." However, before he could finish his words, Jun Haoyin's voice rang out. "I'm afraid that you are all sealed in a fixed area on this mountain. You can't move at will." Jun Haoyin sneered as he looked at the short old demon general with some amusement. When the short elder heard this, he was stunned. Then he looked embarrassed and said, "I didn't expect you to see through it. You're pretty smart, kid. No wonder you killed Yenda. I like it." The old imp looked at Jun Haoyin with admiration. "However, Yenda is my brother. You killed him, so you have made an enemy of me. How can I not take revenge? Human boy, give me your life." Suddenly the old man gnashed his teeth furiously. He seemed to have become extremely angry as he gave the order. "Get into formation." As soon as he finished speaking, the 1,000 short demon soldiers behind him raised the daggers in their hands at the same time. Demonic chi surrounded them. When they connected, they seemed to have the power of the immortal creator realm. A silhouette of a dagger glowing with white light floated above the demon army. Its sharp aura was like a venomous snake, but also like a cold arrow hidden in the dark, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. "Kill!" The old imp shouted angrily. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. The dagger in his hand shone with a cold light. He led the demon army toward Jun Haoyin. It seemed that he wanted to fight Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan head-on. When Jin Luan saw this, his body shone with Buddhist light. He emitted endless golden light and was about to attack the demon army. When Jun Haoyin saw this scene, he let out a cold laugh. He didn't care about the old imp in front of him. He turned around and faced behind him. Celestial demon god technique. Then, behind Jun Haoyin, a thick fog spread out. A huge shadow of a sea of blood slowly emerged. It was like a demon god that suppressed the world, shaking the earth. In the endless sea of blood, 12 figures like demon gods separated from the thick fog and descended into the void. They stood behind Jun Haoyin. At the same time, endless divine power was added to Jun Haoyin's body. He was like a ruler above all living things. He was like the king of kings, the god of gods. Jun Haoyin's fist, which carried endless divine power, suddenly blasted toward the void behind Jin Luan. The terrifying fist power directly squeezed the air into a vacuum. Jin Luan was originally attacking the demon army in front of him. However, when he saw Jun Haoyin attacking the demon army behind him, he was very puzzled. At this moment, Jun Haoyin's fist had already fallen behind Jin Luan. What surprised Jin Luin was that the fist, which was supposed to hit the void, suddenly seemed to have hit something. It made a roaring sound of metal colliding, shaking the world. Then, to Jin Luin's surprise, the figure of a short old man slowly floated in the void. He was holding a dagger. He seemed to be trying his best to resist something. Behind him there were a total of 1,000 demon soldiers. Obviously they were the demon army from before. This? Jin Luin looked at this scene and was extremely surprised and puzzled. Wasn't this the demon army from before? How could there be another one? Could there be two identical demon generals and demon armies? Jin Luin turned back from time to time and asked. There were no demon generals and demon armies on the mountain range. It was empty. There was no trace of them. So it was the demon general's trick. Jin Luin suddenly felt a little apprehensive. The demon generals and demon armies behind him were obviously coming for him. If Jun Haoyin had not discovered it in time, he would have been stabbed to death by the demon general's dagger. Jin Luin turned around and looked at the demon generals who were resisting Jun Haoyin's fists. He suddenly felt a little lucky. Good boy, I didn't expect you to be so smart. I can see through your great bewitching formation. Demon General Mi De narrowed his eyes and looked at Jun Haoyin. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes. The demon generals and demon armies that he had shown before were just illusions. The current him was his real body. Since he had killed Demon General Yenda's men, Mi De naturally would not let his guard down. He planned to directly launch a sneak attack. First, he would get rid of the weaker one, then he would gather all his forces and attack Jun Haoyin. However, he did not expect Demon General Jun Haoyin to see through his plan. Demon General Mi De. Jun Haoyin looked at the old demon general who was clenching his teeth and persevering. His sleeves were somewhat indifferent. This demon general was indeed in the form of an old man. It was as if he had used the longevity creator realm fruit to launch a sneak attack on Jin Luin, a longevity 10,000 years realm human. It could be said that he was extremely vicious. If it was not for his divine soul, which was already very strong and could see through Mi De's hidden figure and demon armies, he would probably have been separated by Mi De. At that time he will be fine, but Jin Luin, the Arhat of the Little Thunder Temple, will suffer. This demon general Mi De's strength is one level higher. Jun Haoyin was slightly surprised to see Mi De block his punch. However, this is as far as it goes. Jun Haoyin snorted coldly. The 12 demon gods behind him suddenly turned black, and the fog behind them directly turned into darkness. More than 3,000 demon hands turned into demon chi. It turned into a dark and gloomy devil chi. 3,000 devil hands trembled behind Jun Haoyin's back, causing him to tremble in fear. This was Jun Haoyin's divine ability of furnace nurturing 100 scriptures. He used the heaven-devouring demonic art to display the all-heaven demon body demonic art. At this moment, the endless demon chi of the 12 peerless demon masters was added to Jun Haoyin's body, making him look like a demon king among demon kings. He had a peerless appearance, as if a demon king had descended from the heavens to bring disaster to the mortal world. Moreover, when the demon king's power was added to Jun Haoyin's body, the mysterious power given to Jun Haoyin by the 6 divine kings did not weaken. The combination of the two great blessings made Jun Haoyin's power as terrifying as the demon Tun. Could it be that the Holy Lord of Langya has turned into a demon? Jin Luin looked at Jun Haoyin's changes, and his heart was somewhat puzzled and confused. At this moment he suddenly had an illusion. It was as if he was standing beside him at this moment, fighting side by side with him. Moreover, Jun Haoyin was a peerless demon lord, and he had the illusion that he was about to bring disaster to the world. However, when Jin Luin looked at Jun Haoyin's eyes, he knew that it was an illusion. It was only an illusion. Because at this moment, there was no trace of irritation and blood-killing intent in Jun Haoyin's eyes, which were the characteristics of the demon race. There was only the light of clarity and the domineering confidence of the Holy Lord of Langya. It seems like it's just a kind of divine ability to use demon chi. Jin Luin suddenly exhaled a few times and his heart relaxed slightly. But then he was very surprised by Jun Haoyin's divine ability to use demon chi. The Holy Lord of Langya is indeed him. His divine ability is always so powerful. Jin Luin gasped in his heart. On the other side, behind Jun Haoyin, 12 pillars of dense demon chi stood upright, and the 3,000 demon hands were unusually frightening. And Jun Haoyin's demon king's disposition was incomparably strong. Celestial demon god technique. Jun Haoyin's eyes were cold. He casually circulated his dharma power, and punched towards demon general Mi De, who was struggling to resist his fist. This punch not only contained the terrifying power of the celestial demon god technique, but also the astonishing power of the heaven-devouring demonic technique. The two superimposed. The power reached an extremely terrifying level. The void where Mida was suddenly compressed, as if it would explode in the next moment. It was as if 12 demon gods were suppressing this space, and everything within was suppressed to the point of being unable to move. They could only await their final judgment. Mida's face turned red because of this. He suddenly felt an extremely horrifying sense of crisis inexplicably rising from the bottom of his heart, causing him to feel extremely flustered. Am I, Mida, really going to be killed and fall in the land of karma? Mida muttered in a daze, feeling that he could not resist the boundless fist that was about to descend upon him. No, I can't accept this. I haven't broken the seal and descended to the world. I can't die yet. I have to run. Mida's face suddenly showed a very unwilling expression. Then he wanted to run. However, when he raised his eyes to look around in an attempt to find a way to escape, he discovered that this entire space had been completely locked down by Jun Haoyin's fist aura. At this moment, there was no way for him to escape. He could only stare head-on at the unparalleled fist that was suppressing him with extreme speed. Left with no choice, Mida could only use the dagger in his hand to frantically inject demon chi into it. The demonic aura on the dagger surged. Like a sinister viper, it charged towards the boundless fist aura. However, the dagger was originally known for its sneak attack. It was as powerless as a mantis trying to stop a chariot when it faced Jun Haoyin's terrifying fist head-on. Those that were light and needed to be lifted would be destroyed. No! Mida shouted unwillingly. He could only watch as his natal treasure was smashed into a pile of scrap metal by the terrifying fist force. Mida's face suddenly turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he was annihilated by the fist force that filled the sky. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion that shook the entire demonic abyss took place. Under the watchful eyes of Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan, the smoke and dust that filled the air gradually dissipated. What was left was only a mess. The demon general Mida and his thousands of demon soldiers were blasted into nothingness. This power, isn't it a little too terrifying? Jin Luan stared blankly at all this, unable to react. Jun Haoyin on the other hand watched for a while. Then he turned around and headed for the top of the mountain. Their group was at the top of the mountain. As long as they reached the top of the mountain, all their doubts would be solved. Jin Luan sighed slightly and hurriedly followed. Now they were halfway up the mountain. It would not be long before they reached the strange temple at the top of the mountain. The strange thing was, before they really reached the top of the mountain, they did not encounter any more enemies. Unexpectedly, they were unimpeded all the way. It was not until they reached the top of the mountain and were only 1 kilometer away from the temple that they encountered an obstacle. Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan stopped and looked ahead solemnly. In front of them, hundreds of graceful figures with black wings floated in the void. They were all staring coldly at Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan. They were clearly the Winged Demon clan. The hundreds of figures in front of them were all women. Except for the pitch-black demon runes engraved on their bodies, they were all beautiful women. In front of the hundreds of demon soldiers, there was a figure in the most gorgeous clothes. Her eyes were clear and contained endless killing intent. Clearly she was a ruthless character. The demon general in the lead is a 10th level immortal creator. The other 200 demon soldiers are at the immortal 5th life realm. Jun Haoyin's gaze swept across the bodies of those flapping black wings. His powerful spiritual energy was activated, allowing him to completely see through the strength of these people. On the other side, Jin Luan used some kind of secret technique to see through the demon soldier's realms. A wry smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. 10th level immortal creator realm. This was a power that even Jun Haoyin had not been able to reach before. Could they still be safe and sound in front of this kind of threat? Human, remember my name. I am Nuya Mo Hui, the second demon general under Lord Guang Wang. The female demon general suddenly said coldly while staring at Jun Haoyin. She looked at Jiang Chen with her cold eyes as if she was determined to kill Jun Haoyin. Do you think you can defeat me? The female demon general was calmer and more arrogant than the previous two. However, Nuya did not reply. She flapped her black wings slowly and floated in the void. The demon chi in her body was unceasingly circulating. Saint Sword, please? Nuya said sternly. Chapter 257. As the evil woman spoke, a pitch-black stream of air flowed out from her chest. It stopped in front of her and turned into a pitch-black long sword. This demonic sword was about 1 meter long. Its entire body was pitch black without the slightest trace of light. It seemed to contain the evilest chi in the world. There was a strange light coming from the sword that sent chills down one's spine. Is this the holy sword of the demons? Seeing this scene, Jun Haoyan was a little puzzled. Glancing at the pitch-black sacred sword, he could only feel the purest evil aura from it. It was similar to demonic chi in many ways. So it's just a trace of sword chi transformed from pure demonic chi. Jin Luan looked at the so-called holy sword, and understood the hidden peculiarity. However, although this demonic sword was formed from a burst of demonic chi, it had been nourished by the evil woman's pure demonic chi for an unknown period of time. Its power was definitely not to be underestimated. The sword's power might be on par with a high-grade treasure. Therefore, Jun Haoyan concluded that the sword's power should not be underestimated. This demon sword gives me a great sense of danger. Seeing this demonic sword, Jin Luan knew that something was wrong. His body immediately tensed up as he stared at the demonic sword in the evil woman's hand with an extremely cautious expression. However, as an eminent monk of the Buddhist sect, Jin Luan did not feel the slightest bit of fear when facing this demonic sword. He couldn't escape from the evil woman. He could only fight to the death. However, Jin Luan was overthinking. The evil woman didn't take out the sword for Arhat Jin Luan. Her target was Jun Haoyan. The evil woman pointed the sword at Jin Luan. Behind her, hundreds of black-winged soldiers in the 2nd to 10th level of the immortal realm flew toward the Arhat's golden wheel. In an instant, they surrounded the Arhat Jin Luan and attacked him from all sides. A black long sword appeared in the hands of the black-winged soldiers. Its chi was exactly the same as the holy sword in the evil woman's hand. They were also nourished by the pure demonic chi in their bodies. However, the power contained in their demonic weapons was much weaker than the evil woman's saint sword. You want to trap Jin Luan with these soldiers and fight me one-on-one? Jun Haoyan looked at Jin Luan and realized what was going on. However, Jun Haoyan wasn't too worried about Jin Luan Arhat, even though he was being held back by an enemy who was several levels stronger than him. After all, Jin Luan was the Arhat of the Vajra Temple. He was the strongest of the younger generation in the Western Desert Buddhism. Even if he couldn't defeat the hundreds of soldiers, he wouldn't be in any danger. The evil woman obviously knew that, which was why she had her goal. She just didn't want to be unhindered while fighting Jun Haoyan. Jun Haoyan and the evil woman looked at each other. They knew what the other was thinking. The evil woman thought that she would definitely win against Jun Haoyan. Jun Haoyan didn't think that he would lose either. The battle between them was about to start. The evil woman raised the pitch-black holy sword in her hand. It grew to several hundred feet long, and pure demonic chi swirled around it. It seemed to contain all the terrifying power in the world. Then the evil woman looked at Jun Haoyan and opened her mouth, uttering a single word. Kill. The pitch-black holy sword buzzed as if it was responding to the evil woman. Ju Tai's black figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had disappeared from his original spot. In Jun Haoyan's eyes he saw the pitch-black devil sword. It carried an unparalleled might that could split the heavens and earth apart as it pierced towards him at lightning speed. The terrifying might contained within it was probably something that even an expert at the peak of the 10th level of the eternal creation realm would have to shudder with fear when facing this sword strike that shook the heavens and the earth, and he would avoid it. However, Jun Haoyan wasn't going to dodge it. With his current strength he wouldn't be able to dodge it. The strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant in his body was the bane of all evil energy. It could suppress all evil in the world. He wouldn't be able to dodge it. Jun Haoyan's eyes turned cold. He said, Indestructible heavenly god body. Battle secret. Heaven-devouring demonic skill. Heavenly devil technique. In an instant, 5 peerless divine abilities and cultivation techniques were activated in Jun Haoyan's body. In the blink of an eye they were activated more than 10,000 times. Indestructible heavenly god body. In the martial god continent, all sects and holy lands had Supreme Emperor techniques as their cornerstone cultivation techniques. The Supreme Monarch arts were considered the best among the 3,000 worlds. After activating them more than 10,000 times, Jun Haoyan's body was greatly strengthened. A near-eternal aura was emitted from his body. It gave people the illusion that they were looking at an eternal realm expert. Secret of all. It increased all of his attributes by 10 times, whether it was his strength, tenacity, or intelligence. All of it. Both of them had a 10-fold increase in strength. At this moment he was the king of all battles. He didn't have any shortcomings. Every part of him was incomparably powerful. It was shocking. Battle secret. This allowed his offensive power to increase tremendously. This was also one of the 9 secrets of the Supreme Being. It wasn't inferior to any Supreme Emperor technique in the world. Even Jun Haoyan's indestructible heavenly god body was inferior to this battle secret. The three divine abilities were used by Jun Haoyan at the same time. The enhancement was very impressive. In an instant, the aura in Jun Haoyan's body suddenly increased by several times. An incomparably powerful aura was gradually emitted from Jun Haoyan's body. At this moment, although Jun Haoyan was only in the Eternal Realm, any Eternal Realm expert in the Eternal Realm would be shocked by Jun Haoyan's strength. Opposite Jun Haoyan, the evil woman was the same. Suddenly, Jun Haoyan was incomparably strong. Jun Haoyan was countless times stronger. Even a demon general like her who had existed since the ancient times was incomparably shocked. Even in the ancient times, there were very few people who could increase their strength by so many times in an instant. There was almost no such existence. Sensing Jun Haoyan's aura, the evil woman was a little anxious. She didn't want to let Jun Haoyan continue to increase his strength. The sacred sword that was thrusting towards Jun Haoyan accelerated again. Like a phantom, it crossed an unknown distance in an instant. In the next moment, it arrived in front of Jun Haoyan. The sharp sword light. Jun Haoyan's hair fluttered wildly in the wind. It was as if the sword was going to split Jun Haoyan's body in half. Jun Haoyan's face was cold. He wasn't afraid at all. The heaven-devouring demonic art and celestial fiend god technique in his body were circulating non-stop. Behind Jun Haoyan's back, a thick blood mist spread out. The blood mist this time was different from the blood mist emitted by the celestial fiend god technique in the past. Because the celestial fiend god technique and the heaven-devouring demonic art were circulating at the same time, the spreading blood mist vaguely resembled the pitch-black demonic chi. It was as if a pitch-black night sky had spread out behind Jun Haoyan. It was so dark that not a single star could be seen. In such a pitch-black night sky, a huge, simple, majestic and domineering boundless sea of blood suddenly appeared. Just like that, it stood in the pitch-black night sky, like an unchanging rock that had existed for countless years. Nothing could change its will. 12 godlike existences appeared. They floated in the boundless sea of blood. Their faces were majestic and their eyes were cold. It was as if they didn't care about anything in the world. These were the peerless fiend gods. They were above everything in the world. By controlling the boundless sea of blood, they were determined to send all those who refused to submit to them into the cycle of reincarnation. What was different from the usual 12 fiend gods was that there were 3,000 fiend gods that were constantly twitching behind them. The originally two completely different cultivation techniques, under the effect of Jun Haoyan's Cauldron 100 Classics, merged into one and unleashed unprecedented potential. And all this potential was added to Jun Haoyan's physical body. At this moment, Jun Haoyan was the divine king, the fiend god. He was above everything and his strength was incomparably powerful. Looking at the pitch-black holy sword that was about to strike his head, Jun Haoyan's eyes were cold. He suddenly clenched his fist and gathered all his strength. Then he swung it at the holy sword. The small fist collided with the pitch-black holy sword that was hundreds of feet long. In an instant, the world was silent. It was as if time had stopped. Then, a loud sound that was so loud that it almost broke one's eardrums rang out. Under Jun Haoyan's fist, the holy sword that carried unparalleled power began to disintegrate inch by inch. It turned into the most ordinary fienki and dissipated. Soon, the holy sword that was hundreds of feet long disappeared. There was no trace of it at all. Puff. The evil woman's face suddenly turned pale. She spat out the holy sword. Although it was directly nourished by fienki, it was still connected to her mind. Since the demon sword was destroyed, she was unavoidably injured. This human is actually so strong. The evil woman looked at Jun Haoyan sinisterly. The resentment in her eyes was unusually obvious. She was sealed in this place. She had no choice but to use fienki to nourish the holy sword. After nourishing it for so many years, she finally refined it into a holy sword. But now, her holy sword was destroyed by Jun Haoyan with a single punch. This caused her to be extremely angry at Jun Haoyan. The evil woman stared at Jun Haoyan. A similarly pitch-black holy sword appeared in her hand. You have some tricks up your sleeve. You can force me to use my magical treasure. However, unlike the holy sword from before, this holy sword was a magical treasure. It was Nuya's natal magical treasure. It was called the Heaven-Cleaving Sword. In the past, when she was in the divine realm, it could be considered a very powerful divine weapon. With one slash, it could kill a deity. Of course, this was in the past. Even now, the sky-severing sword only possessed the might of a sovereign artifact. In fact, it was even inferior to a sovereign artifact. However, even if it was so powerful, the evil woman felt that it was enough to kill Jun Haoyan. The reason why the evil woman was so confident was not because of the sword's power, but because of the sword's special material. The heaven-cleaving sword's material was completely based on the standard of a divine weapon. Its most special feature was that it could carry a trace of divine might. And the evil woman's body just happened to contain divine might. She used this divine might to activate the heaven-cleaving sword. The power it could unleash was unprecedentedly strong. Not to mention Jun Haoyan in front of him, even an undying realm expert would die in the face of this sky-severing sword with hatred. The evil woman's light flickered. She poured the remaining divine might into the heaven-cleaving sword in her hand. Immediately, the heaven-cleaving sword buzzed. Its entire body was suffused with a pitch-black light that made people's hearts tremble. The heaven-cleaving sword did not grow bigger. Instead, it shrunk a little. The aura it emitted became purer and purer. An aura that could split heaven and earth was emitted from the sword. It was frightening. The evil woman stared at Jun Haoyan and said, "Die." When she looked at Jun Haoyan, it was as if she was looking at a dead man. The pity in her eyes was self-evident. She could not imagine how Jun Haoyan could survive such a terrifying attack. Escape with his life. Jun Haoyan will definitely die after this attack. This sword is not ordinary. At the same time, Jun Haoyan's eyes focused on the heaven-cleaving sword that was piercing towards him like a bloody shadow. His pupils shrunk. A strong sense of crisis shrouded Jiang Chen's heart. It was like a blade floating above Jun Haoyan's head. It could take Jun Haoyan's life at any time. Jun Haoyan did not doubt that if the sword landed on his body, even his body that was strengthened by the eternal secret of wholeness would not be able to withstand the sword's power. At this moment, Jun Haoyan was in danger of dying. However, even so, Jun Haoyan only became more cautious. He did not show any emotion. He had many tricks up his sleeves to deal with this terrifying attack. Without any hesitation, a magnificent divine bow appeared in Jun Haoyan's hand. This magnificent bow and arrow were gilded in gold, shining like the sun. On the body of the bow, there were simple yet powerful runes engraved on it. Under the light, it was as if a god had descended to this world. The entire body of the bow was made of bones. It was as if it was made from the bones of an extremely powerful being. Just by looking at it, it was like looking at a monstrous beast. It was terrifying. This was the sun-slaying divine bow. It was the divine bow that Hui used to shoot the sun in the sky. It was domineering and majestic, yet it did not lose its simplicity. It was a peerless divine weapon. With the bow in his hand, Jun Haoyan seemed to have turned into Hui at this moment. He looked at Wu Kong with a burning gaze. His target was the insufferably arrogant evil woman in the sky. Jun Haoyan's clothes were fluttering in the wind. An incomparably powerful aura was emitted from his body. It was a godly aura that could break through all obstacles. It made people want to bow down and worship him. Jun Haoyan pointed at the evil woman with the bow. Chapter 258. The evil woman's eyes flickered. She channeled her remaining divine might into the heaven-slashing sword in her hand. Immediately, the heaven-slashing sword buzzed. Its body emitted a pitch-black light that caused one's heart to tremble. Not only did the heaven-slashing sword not grow bigger, it actually shrunk a little. The aura it emitted also became purer and purer. The heaven-slashing sword emitted an aura that could split the heavens and earth. An illusory arrow naturally appeared on the godly bow. The arrowhead was pointed at the evil woman, completely locking onto her. A strong sense of danger suddenly appeared in the evil woman's heart and didn't dissipate. The evil woman's mind suddenly panicked. She felt that she would die under Jun Haoyan's sun-slaying divine bow that mysteriously appeared out of nowhere. However, the demoness immediately believed in the illusion that had appeared all of a sudden. The evil woman believed that she would really die under this arrow. Thus she was completely flustered. She hurriedly circulated the demonic energy in her body and tried to dodge the godly bow that was pointed at her. However, no matter how she tried to dodge, the cold and domineering arrowhead on the sun-slaying divine bow in Jun Haoyan's hand was still aimed at her. No matter what she did, she couldn't dodge the godly bow's arrow. Nuya's expression greatly changed. At this moment, Nuya was like the golden crow sun in the sky. Endless light illuminated the world and was incomparably powerful. However, under the arrow in Hui's hand, she had nowhere to run. She could only stretch out her neck and wait for death. A trace of despair appeared on her face. This was something she had never experienced before. Even during the ancient times in the divine world, when the supreme existence of Buddhism, Shakyamuni, attacked her and sealed her Lord Demon King together, she didn't feel this way. Under this godly bow she would really die. Moreover, she would die without a doubt. Her soul would be annihilated by that terrifying arrowhead. She wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. What awaited her was annihilation. Jun Haoyin stared at the evil woman in the sky and said. His right hand loosened the bowstring. The illusory yet powerful arrow shot out from the sun-slaying divine bow. It pierced through space and headed straight for the evil woman. One could only see a faint line that didn't seem to exist. This was because the speed of the arrow was extremely fast. Even light could not catch up to the speed of the arrow. In mid-air, the sky-cleaving sword that was about to fall on Jun Haoyin's head suddenly condensed a sword light, followed by an explosion. With a bang, it exploded into countless fragments and drifted down. Clearly, it was because it had come into contact with the arrow shot from the sun-slaying divine bow. It could not withstand the power of the arrow and was directly damaged. In the sky, the evil woman's expression turned bitter as she spat out a mouthful of blood. However, she no longer cared about the destruction of the life mandate. Because after that terrifying arrow tore apart her life source magic treasure, its speed did not decrease in the slightest, and it was still shooting towards her. Seeing this scene, the evil woman was horrified. She hurriedly used her movement technique and ignored everything else. She flapped her wings and turned around to flee. She frantically tried to escape from the arrow's lock. However, no matter how she flew, the sense of danger in her heart did not lessen. Instead, as time went on, it became heavier and heavier. The evil woman was horrified. She wanted to turn around to see how far the arrow was from her. However, the moment she turned around, a golden light appeared. In her field of vision, a golden light was getting closer and bigger. It occupied her entire field of vision. While she was puzzled, a slight pain flashed across her forehead. Her eyes darkened and she lost all consciousness. This was only what she felt. Jun Haoyin saw a golden arrow pierce through the evil woman's forehead, bringing with it a string of blood that made one's heart tremble. It pierced through the back of her head. Even the divine soul in the evil woman's mind was directly pierced by the golden arrow and vanished into thin air. In the sky, the fleeing figure of the evil woman suddenly froze. The black wings on her back gradually stopped flapping violently. Without the support of the black wings, the evil woman's body gradually stiffened. Then she freely fell, drawing a beautiful parabola in the air. Finally, with a bang, she fell somewhere on the ground and was covered by the black mountain range. If someone went to check, they would find that not only was her forehead pierced, but there were also numerous cracks all over her body. It was clear that not only was her soul pierced, but all the cells in her body were destroyed in an instant. The blood rebirth ability of the immortal realm couldn't be used anymore. Seeing the evil woman's body fall on the ground of the mountain range, Jun Haoyin's sharp gaze gradually weakened. Jun Haoyin withdrew his hand and retrieved the sun-slaying divine bow. Jun Haoyin wasn't surprised that the sun-slaying divine bow had killed the demon general with one arrow. With the power of the sun-slaying divine bow, it could even shoot down the sun. Killing a demon general was a piece of cake. Then he looked at Jinluan Arhat, who was fighting beside him. After such a long time, Jinluan Arhat had some injuries on his body. Some of them were so severe that his bones could be seen. It was clear that he wouldn't be able to last much longer. However, Jinluan Arhat had killed nearly 1/3 of the 200 winged demon soldiers around him. It seemed that Jinluan Arhat's injuries weren't for nothing. Even so, it would be difficult for Jinluan Arhat to face 2/3 of the winged demon soldiers alone. Seeing this, Jun Haoyin shook his head and flew toward Jinluan Arhat's battlefield. When he reached the battlefield, he casually grabbed the head of a winged demonic soldier and crushed it. This horrifying attack shocked the surrounding black-winged demonic soldiers who were attacking Jinluan Arhat. You, aren't you fighting with our demon general Tyrin? Ow. The 3 winged demon soldiers stared at Jun Haoyin in shock and stuttered. Her voice was so loud that it attracted the attention of all the other winged demon soldiers. All the demon soldiers stopped in shock as they looked at Jun Haoyin, who had appeared on the battlefield. Their eyes were filled with shock and doubt. In the blink of an eye, the demon general Nuya who wanted to find them was nowhere to be seen. They could only see an empty space. There was no trace of demon general Nuya. There. Demon general Nuya is there. Some of the winged demon soldiers saw demon general Nuya's body hidden in the mountains. Something had pierced through her forehead and blood was flowing out. His body was full of cracks. It was obvious that he had fallen and died. Demon General Nuya had died. Demon General Nuya is an unparalleled expert. Although she has been sealed here for many years, her strength has decreased. His strength has decreased, But how could he be killed by such a young human? Could it be that this human created an illusion to confuse us? The winged demon soldiers could not believe that Demon General Nuya had died. They began to find excuses for themselves. But no matter what excuse they came up with, Demon General Nuya's body was a bloody fact. Demon General Nuya was really dead. Panic rose among the winged demon soldiers. They had been sealed here for many years, and their spiritual belief was Demon General Nuya. In other words, their purpose in life was Demon General Nuya. But now Demon General Nuya was dead. This was like a sunny day for the winged demon soldiers. They floated in the air dazed. They had lost all ability to react. Amitabha. Jinluan Arhat would not let this opportunity slip by. Golden Buddhist light bloomed from his body, shining like the sun in the sky. The golden Buddhist light shone on the winged demon soldiers. During the fog, these defenseless demon soldiers melted like snow under the sun. The demon chi on their bodies evaporated rapidly. In just a short moment, the originally menacing demon soldiers had disappeared into the void, leaving not a single trace behind. After releasing his terrifying Buddhist light, Jinluan Arhat relaxed. Jinluan Arhat's nervous expression relaxed. He stopped in the air and panted. Even though he was a bodhisattva, he was still in the immortal realm. He had killed so many immortal realm winged demon soldiers in an instant. Although the winged demon soldiers had been caught off guard, he was still exhausted. He had to rest for a while before he could fight again. Jinluan Arhat pitied the winged demon soldiers when he saw them disappear, but he had no regrets. He would not be overflowing with compassion. These people were from the Devil Clan. They were the archenemies of Buddhism. And just now, if Jun Haoyan hadn't killed their demon general, the demon woman would have died. He would most likely be caught in a bitter battle and might even be killed by these demon soldiers in the end. Even Jinluan Arhat wouldn't be merciful to his enemies. This poor monk thanks the Holy Lord. As Jinluan Arhat panted, he looked at Jun Haoyan gratefully and expressed his gratitude. If not for Jun Haoyan, his life would have been in danger. When Jinluan Arhat looked at Jun Haoyan, his eyes were filled with amazement and admiration. In this trip to the abyss, he had seen with his own eyes how terrifying the newly ascended Holy Lord of Langya was. Although he had heard of Jun Haoyan's deeds before, such as the King of All Heaven Sacred Ground, Qingyun Sacred Ground, and Yaoguang Sacred Ground, Bai Yi hadn't seen it with his own eyes. But at this moment he had truly witnessed the terror of Jun Haoyan. The three demon generals were extremely powerful. All of them were at the immortal creator realm. Even the demon woman was at the peak of the 10th level of the immortal creator realm. She was extremely powerful. She was many levels higher than Jun Haoyan. However, the demon woman had been killed by Jun Haoyan with one arrow. Jinluan Arhat was really shocked. Jinluan Arhat had thought of Jun Haoyan as a rare genius before, but now he really admired Jun Haoyan. In response to Di Rulai's gratitude, TL nodded. That year they looked at the strange temple on the top of the mountain. After dealing with the three demon generals and the demon army, they had reached the top of the mountain. They were only 1 li away from the strange temple. Since they had encountered the demon generals and the demon soldiers, it meant that this was a place where the demon race was sealed. If there was no accident, the one who took the temple at the center would be the most powerful demon race. It was most likely the demon craftsmanship that the three demon generals had mentioned. Even the three demon generals had the strength of the immortal creator realm. The so-called demon king Shurjiao should be even more powerful. I wonder if the demon jade still has the strength of a demon king after being sealed for so many years. No, the next highlight should be in this temple. Jiang Qin said calmly after looking at it for a while. There was no trace of fear on his face. Third, there was a demon god sealed in his body. Tilong. No matter how powerful the demon race was, he would not even think about them. First published on Zhou Fan's website Di Rulai side. He was a little worried. For a devil king to be able to control the eternal jade eternal life creation realm Mo Lin, his strength was at least at the eternal jade eternal life realm. Moreover, because he had appeared at the original location of Nalanda Temple, he didn't know if this devil king was related to the Western Desert Buddhist sect. Jiang Qin and Tong Rulai walked towards the top of the mountain. They stopped in front of the temple at the top of the mountain. The two of them observed the whole temple. It was a strange temple. A hint of caution flashed in their eyes. Black demonic chi lingered within the large and ancient temple, emitting a strange and sinister aura. It was as though it was a temple from hell, causing one's hair to stand on end. Anyone could guess that the thing sealed within 003 was definitely not a good person. The temple's gate. It was vermilion red and a little peeling, revealing a trace of ancient chi. Apparently, it had existed for a long time. Perhaps because this temple was too old, it did not have the strength to completely seal the Demon King inside. Therefore, it appeared at the original location of Nalanda Temple. Half of the Vermilion Gate was unlocked, locked by a rusty bronze chain. However, the bronze chain was like a book that was about to decay and break. Green rust covered every part of the chain. Looking into the temple through the crack of the Supreme Gate, one seemed to be able to see a bloody glow hidden in the darkness. Faintly, there seemed to be a trace of bloody talent, encircling the tip of the temple. Jiang Shang sniffed slightly and lowered his eyelids. Perhaps it's the 6 Western Desert Buddhist sect monks who disappeared before. They've already fallen. Emperor Tathagata was silent. Obviously, he understood Jiang Chen's meaning. He also smelled the trace of bloody qi at the tip of his nose. He knew that the 6 monks had most likely died. However, getting lost in this abyss of demon qi was a matter of 9 deaths. He was prepared for it, so he wasn't too surprised. While he was thinking, there seemed to be a breeze blowing past. The bronze chain suddenly broke with a pa sound. The Vermilion Gate beat. Chapter 259. As the door of the ancient and dilapidated temple opened, a thick blood-red light shone from within the temple. There were countless corpses lying on the ground. The blood-red light that was casually piled up in the hall came from these corpses. Master Xuanzang. When Jinluan Arhat came in, he saw Xian Pin Divine Monk's body among the corpses. He was shocked. Jun Haoyin was shocked when he heard Jinluan Arhat's words. He looked in the direction Jinluan Arhat was looking at and saw Master Xuanzang. However, Xuanzang Divine Monk was only a corpse. Moreover, all the blood in his body seemed to have been sucked dry. All that was left was a withered corpse that had become a mummy. Divine Monk Xuanzang was the first disciple of the Minor Thunderclap Temple. His position was extremely important, comparable to the position of the Holy Sun in the Holy Lands. Now that even he had died, the rest of the people in the Minor Thunderclap Temple would not be able to survive. Jun Haoyin looked at the corpses and saw the corpses of the monks from the Minor Lane Temple. Jun Haoyin even found the corpse of Divine Monk Fa Hai among the worms of corpses. He had also died a miserable death and had become a dried corpse. Sigh, it seems like all the Buddhist disciples in the Minor Lane Temple are here. Jun Haoyin sighed when he saw the bloody scene. Although he did not know how many people there were in the Minor Lane Temple, he knew that all the people he met in the Minor Lane Temple were here. Even the other 6 monks who had been dragged into the abyss with Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Arhat were here. Their corpses looked like they had just withered and their blood had been sucked out not long ago. Amit Ba. Jinluan Arhat looked at the corpses and his face fell. He lowered his eyebrows and murmured the name of Buddha. He was the Arhat of the Diamond Temple and he knew how many people there were in the Minor Lane Temple. Therefore he knew that in the Small Thunder Temple, other than a few people who were on a mission and were currently residing in the Vajra Temple, the rest were all here. The pitiful Small Lane Temple was one of the more prosperous Buddhist temples in the Western Desert. Now, it was uprooted and no longer existed. And the culprit behind all of this was the Buddhist sect in this temple. Jun Haoyin glanced at Jinluan Bodhisattva and entered the temple. Jinluan Bodhisattva followed suit. On the pillars of the temple, there were some evil figures engraved on them. It was obvious that they did not belong to the Little Thunderclap Temple, but were done by the Demon Clan. There were no other side roads, only a perfectly straight road leading to the inside. Jun Haoyin and Qin Wenyan walked on the road and looked to the sides. On both sides of the road, there were statues in black armor. Their faces were hideous and grotesque. Jun Haoyin suddenly felt that he was walking on the road of the imperial court and was about to face the emperor. At the same time, there was a heavy pressure on Jun Haoyin's body. It wanted to crush him and make it difficult for him to move. However, Jun Haoyin now had 4 million giant elephant cells in his body. He had infinite divine power and could not be crushed easily. As Jun Haoyin's body trembled, the pressure on his body dissipated. It was no longer able to obstruct Jun Haoyin's path. However, Jinluan Bodhisattva was having a hard time resisting the pressure. Jun Haoyin waved his sleeve and a huge amount of energy surged out, crushing the pressure on Jinluan Bodhisattva. Jinluan Bodhisattva relaxed and looked at Jun Haoyin gratefully. Under the ferocious stares of the statues, the two of them came to a huge hall. There were many statues of the demon clan around the hall. Upon closer inspection they looked similar to the statues of Buddhas. However, the aura they gave off was cold and evil. In the middle of the hall there was an altar. There was a huge blood pool in the middle of the altar. The blood pool gave off an endless bloody aura and the smell of blood filling the hall. Jun Haoyin and Jinluan Bodhisattva frowned. They did not like the smell. It seemed that the blood of the corpses that had been sucked dry had all gathered in this blood pool. Jun Haoyin narrowed his eyes and looked towards the source of the blood pool. Under his might, there seemed to be something hidden within the blood pool. He immediately guessed that this was the so-called Devil King. Jun Haoyin thought for a while and suddenly his aura started to circulate. Celestial Demon Technique. Thick fog started to spread behind him. In the thick fog, a huge blood sea appeared. Then 12 demon gods appeared. Endless divine aura appeared and strengthened Jun Haoyin's body. At this moment, Jun Haoyin's body seemed to be filled with endless divine power. When Jinluan Bodhisattva saw this, he calmed down and backed away. Jun Haoyin's eyes narrowed. They were as sharp as swords. Then Jun Haoyin slowly raised his right hand and clenched it into a fist. Then he punched at the blood pool. Rumble. Suddenly, a loud rumble could be heard. An enormous illusory fist that was several hundred feet in size suddenly appeared. Then it blasted towards the blood pool at lightning speed. When Jinluan Bodhisattva saw this, his eyes widened. He wanted to see how the blood pool would react. When Jun Haoyin saw this, he was also waiting with bated breath. The huge shadow of the fist was extremely fast. Soon it was in front of the blood pool and punched at it. Regardless of what material the altar was made of or how hard it was, if the terrifying punch landed, it would probably be turned into a pile of rubble by the boundless force. However, just as the shadow of the fist was about to land on the blood pool, something strange happened. A faint blood-red protective barrier suddenly appeared above the altar, completely enveloping it. When Jun Haoyin's shadow of the fist hit the shield, it blocked all of them. Even after receiving such a huge attack, the protective barrier didn't even sway a bit. When Jun Haoyin saw this scene, he was not curious at all. Instead, a look of realization appeared on his face. This is not good. There must be a demon king in there. He is recovering his strength. This shield is to protect him and prevent him from being disturbed. When Jinluan Bodhisattva saw this, he also understood what was going on. He was shocked and exclaimed. Then a golden Buddhist light appeared on his body. The Buddhist light gathered to form a golden ruler. It glowed brightly and seemed to contain boundless divine power. Demon-slaying ruler. Jinluan Bodhisattva's eyes widened in anger as he waved his hand. The golden ruler was like a meteor chasing after the moon as it rapidly flew towards the protective barrier above the blood pool. In the next instant there was a loud explosion. However, to everyone's surprise, the shield absorbed all of the golden ruler's energy. It did not lose a single bit of energy. When the golden ruler disappeared, Jinluan Bodhisattva's heart sank. He did not want to give up. He tried a few more attacks. He used the golden lotus Buddha palm and the golden Buddha seal to attack the blood-red shield. However, no matter how many attacks he used, they were ineffective. The blood-red shield did not change at all. It was as if it had not been depleted at all. It's useless. The blood-red shield was formed by the blood of all the monks in the small Layin temple. Attacking the shield is equivalent to fighting against all the monks in the small Layin temple. You will not be able to break it with your strength alone. When Jun Haoyin saw this, he shook his head and reminded Jinluan Bodhisattva. Even the Holy Master can't do anything about it? When he heard Jun Haoyin's words, Jun Haoyin was unwilling to give up. Jun Haoyin shook his head. The Demon King had put in a lot of effort to set up the shield. It could be easily broken in a short time. When Jun Haoyin saw this, he was disappointed. If that's the case, won't we have to watch the Demon King recover from his injuries? When he comes out, will we be able to save him? Jinluan Bodhisattva's tone was filled with despair. Jun Haoyin did not want to see Jinluan Arhat come out like this. Jun Haoyin was amused by Jinluan Arhat's reaction. It doesn't matter. Let him come out. When the time comes, I will naturally have a way to deal with him. When Jinluan Bodhisattva heard Jun Haoyin's words, his eyes lit up. If someone else had said this, he would not have believed them. However, since it was Jun Haoyin, he believed them. Then the two of them waited patiently and observed the changes in the blood pool. As time passed, the blood-red light in the blood pool became less and less. It was as if something had absorbed it. It was extremely strange. Soon, a human head gradually emerged from the bloody ground. The head had curly hair, no facial features, and the eyelids were tightly shut. At first glance, one would think that it was the head of a sleeping Buddha. However, the evil aura of the Demon King from the face showed otherwise. Demon King Bo Sun. Jinluan Bodhisattva's expression changed drastically and he exclaimed. Jun Haoyin glanced at Jinluan Bodhisattva. It seemed like Jun Haoyin knew something. He asked curiously, "Who is Demon King Bo Sun?" After hearing Jun Haotian's question, Jinluan Bodhisattva shook his head and explained, I know from the records in the Vajra temple. Bo Sun used to be one of us. However, he fell into the demon Tao for some unknown reason. I do not know what happened after that. Jun Haotian became interested after hearing this. Look, Bo Sun Bodhisattva did not show any signs of waking up. Jun Haotian then immersed his mind into the Dan furnace in his body. Chiyu, do you know? What is the origin of baboon demon Bo Sun? Jiang Chen asked. Buddha Xiaobao Bo Sun 3 Chiyu, who was curled up in a deep sleep, opened his eyes in surprise when he heard Jiang Chen's voice. He only wanted to help Jiang Chen subdue the demon king here. However, he did not expect that the demon king here was the Buddha demon Bo Sun. You sent me the image through the air. I wonder if it's a wave, Chiyu said. Although he was in his body, he could vaguely sense the situation outside, but it was not clear. Jiang Chen did not care about it. He sent the image of the blood pool to the fragments in the Dan furnace. Ah, so it's really this place. After seeing the scene that was transmitted, Chiyu suddenly laughed as if he had seen something extremely happy. Jiang Chen frowned slightly when he saw Chiyu's reaction. Chiyu seemed to have sensed Chiyu's mood and hurriedly stopped his Taoist greeting and explained. This is indeed the Buddha demon Bo Sun. I never thought that this guy would be sealed in this place. Looks like it's Shakyamuni. If I find out that you have any evil intentions, don't blame me for burning you with the divine flame of the Dan furnace. Jiang Chen saw Chiyu's reaction. He knew that Chiyu was up to something and warned him in an unfriendly manner. When Chiyu heard Jiang Chen's threat, he instantly evaporated. The heavens were big and the strength was the greatest. It was not easy for him to cooperate with Jiang Chen. He finally obtained a moment of peace. He did not want to experience the feeling of being burned by the divine flame again. After discovering the abnormality, he sealed it. Jiang Chen saw that Chiyu seemed to know the Buddha demon Bo Sun very well and asked, what is the origin of this Buddha demon Bo Sun? How is he related to you, the devil ancestor? Chiyu's eyes suddenly turned as he thought about how to answer Jiang Chen's question. Don't try to deceive me. Although you're in the fragments, your actions are still under my light. The pain was secondary. The main thing was that Chiyu could not bear the feeling of being weakened at every moment. He could only open his mouth and explain. This Buddha demon Bo Sun was originally a Buddhist in the immortal world. It's just that his mind wasn't in the right place. I communicated with him for a bit, and he immediately joined the devil race. After I gave him a devil race cultivation technique, his strength increased by leaps and bounds, and he reached the immortal king realm. I originally planned to hide him in the immortal world. Shakyamuni had a sword as a Buddhist. I didn't expect him to be suppressed now. He was actually suppressed in the lower world. Looks like after I was sealed by Shen Yuan, he gave himself away and was sealed by Shakyamuni. However, since he was sealed here, it's fine. Alright, originally, I also saw that he didn't seem to be sincere towards the demons. Jiang Chen listened thoughtfully. So, the Buddha demon Bo Sun had such a background. However, Jiang Chen was also interested in the Shakyamuni that Chiyu mentioned. Shakyamuni and Amitabha. What's the relationship between them? Jiang Chen had heard of the relationship between Amitabha and Shakyamuni before. It was his second time hearing about Shakyamuni. In my era, Shakyamuni was a Buddhist. Shakyamuni was a Buddhist in the immortal world. But now that I've been sealed for so many years, I reckon his strength has become stronger. He should have become a Buddhist abbot. Chiyu said disdainfully as if he was talking about Shakyamuni. He did not think highly of Shakyamuni. Jiang Chen understood a lot of things in a flash. However, these things were still too early for him now. It would only be useful after he ascended to the immortal world. Right now, the matter of Buddha Kong Bo Sun was more important. Chapter 260. However, to his surprise, the protective barrier absorbed all of the power of the Golden Ruler without losing a single bit of power. Then the Golden Ruler disappeared. Jinluan Arhat's heart sank when he saw this. He did not want to give up, so he changed his tactics. He used the Golden Lotus, the Buddha's palm, the Golden Buddha country seal, etc., to attack the Crimson Protective Shield. However, no matter how many tactics he used, none of them had any effect on the shield. There was no change to the Crimson Protective Shield. It was as if it had not been depleted at all. It's useless. The Crimson Protective Shield was formed by the blood of all the monks in the small Layin temple. Attacking the shield is equivalent to fighting against all the monks in the small Layin temple. You will not be able to break it with your own strength. Jun Haotian shook his head and reminded Jinluan Arhat when he saw this. Sacred Master, even you can't do anything about it? Jinluan Arhat asked unwillingly. Jun Haotian shook his head decisively when he heard this. The protective shield had been set up by the Demon King. How could it be broken in such a short time? Jinluan Arhat was disappointed when he saw this. He said dejectedly, "If that's the case, we will have to watch the Demon King recover from his injuries. When he comes out, will we be able to save him?" There was a tinge of despair in his voice. Allowing such a terrifying demon to be born was something he did not want to see no matter what. Jun Haoyin was amused when he saw Jinluan Arhat's look of despair. He said, "Arhat, don't worry. Let him come out. I have a way to deal with him." Jinluan Arhat's eyes lit up when he heard this. He was pleasantly surprised. Jinluan Arhat would not have believed it if someone else had said this. However, when he heard Jun Haoyin say this, he believed it. The two of them waited patiently as they watched the changes in the blood pool. As time passed, the amount of blood in the blood pool decreased. It was as if something was absorbing it. It was extremely strange. Soon, a human head slowly floated up from the descending blood pool. The hair was curly, the facial features were regular, and the eyelids were tightly shut. No matter how one looked at it, one would think that it was the head of a sleeping Buddha. However, the devilish aura emanating from his face made it clear that this was not the case. Demon King Bushuan. When Jinluan Arhat saw the head, his face changed and he exclaimed. Hearing this, Jun Haoyin looked at Jinluan Arhat. It seemed that Jinluan Arhat knew something. Jun Haoyin asked, "Who is Demon King Bo Sun? Is this the head?" When Jinluan Arhat heard this, he shook his head and explained, "I found out from the hidden books in the Vajra temple. Bo Sun used to be a Buddhist, but for some reason he fell into the demon Tao. I don't know what happened after that." Hearing this, Jun Haoyin was a little interested. It seemed that Bo Sun did not show any signs of waking up in a short period of time. Therefore, Jun Haoyin stealthily immersed his consciousness into the furnace in his body. "Chiyu, do you know where Demon King Bo Sun came from?" Jun Haoyin asked demon ancestor Chiyu. Demon King Bo Sun. Chiyu was originally curled up in a deep sleep. When he heard Jun Haoyin's voice, he opened his eyes in surprise. He had only intended to help Jun Haoyin subdue the Demon King. He had not expected the Demon King to be Bo Sun. "Send me the image. I want to see it," Chiyu said. At this moment, although he was in Jun Haoyin's body, he could vaguely sense the situation in the outside world, although it was not very clear. Hearing this, Jun Haoyin naturally didn't care. He casually transmitted the scene in the blood pool to the fragments in the furnace. "Haha, it really is this guy." After seeing the scene that was transmitted, Chiyu suddenly laughed out loud as if he had seen something extremely happy. When Jun Haoyin saw Chiyu's reaction, he frowned slightly. Seeming to have sensed Jun Haoyin's unhappy mood, Chiyu hurriedly stopped laughing and explained, "This is indeed Demon King Bo Sun. I didn't expect that this fellow would also be sealed in this place. It seems that Shakyamuni discovered the abnormality and sealed him." When Jun Haoyin saw that Chiyu seemed to know Bo Sun very well, he asked, "What is the origin of Demon King Bo Sun? What is his relationship with you, demon ancestor?" The furnace was filled with fragments. Chiyu's eyes suddenly turned as he pondered how to answer. "Don't even think about deceiving me. Even though you're in the fragment, I can still see every move you make. If I find out that you have any evil intentions, don't blame me for burning you with the divine flames in the furnace." When Jun Haoyin saw Chiyu's expression, he knew that Chiyu was up to something, so he reminded him unkindly. When Chiyu heard Jun Haoyin's threat, he immediately became dispirited. In the vast world, strength was the greatest. It was not easy to cooperate with Jun Haoyin and obtain a moment of peace. He did not want to experience the feeling of being burned by the divine flames again. The pain was secondary. The main thing was that Chiyu could not stand the feeling of being weakened at every moment. At that moment, Chiyu could only open his mouth to explain, "This Demon King Bo Sun was originally a Buddhist in the divine realm. It's just that his thoughts were somewhat impure. After I communicated with him briefly, he immediately switched sides and joined my demon clan. After I bestowed him with a demon clan's cultivation technique, his strength actually increased by leaps and bounds, reaching the immortal God King realm. I originally planned to hide him beside Shakyamuni as a spy in the Buddhist clan. I did not expect that Iran would also be suppressed in the lower realm. It seems that I was sealed by Xianyuan. After that, he gave himself away and was sealed by Shakyamuni. However, it's good that he is sealed here. Originally, I also saw that he did not seem to be sincere towards the demon clan." When Jun Haoyin heard this, he immediately became thoughtful. So, Demon King Bo Sun actually had such a background. However, Jun Haoyin was also somewhat interested in the Shakyamuni that Chiyu mentioned. Then, what is the relationship between Shakyamuni and Amitabha? Jun Haoyin had previously heard of the relationship between Amitabha and Shakyamuni. It was said that Amitabha was the founder of Buddhism. However, this was the second time that he had heard of Shakyamuni. In my era, Shakyamuni was a Buddha in the divine realms Buddhism. However, now that I have been sealed for so many years, I reckon that he has become stronger and should have become the ruler of Buddhism. Chiyu's tone was somewhat disdainful. It seemed that he did not think highly of Shakyamuni. In an instant, Jun Haoyin understood a lot of things. However, it was still too early for him to understand these things. He still had to wait until he ascended to the divine realm before it could be of any use. Right now, the matter of Demon King Bo Sun was more important. As Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan waited, the blood in the blood pool gradually decreased. In fact, half of Demon King Bo Sun's body was even revealed. Demon King Bo Sun had absorbed a lot of blood. It seemed that there was some redness in his body. There were signs that he was about to wake up. After a while, there was only a thin layer of blood left in the blood pool. Demon King Bo Sun's face was also becoming redder and redder. He was very close to a normal person. Moreover, due to the decrease in blood, the blood shield was also fading. The blood-red protective barrier became thinner and thinner, and it seemed to have reached the point where it could be broken. Jin Luan, who was standing at the side, was getting restless. However, just at that moment, Demon King Bo Sun suddenly opened his eyes. The sharp gaze in his eyes seemed to be able to pierce through space and time. The blood-red protective barrier could not hold on any longer and directly broke apart. Demon King Bo Sun's gaze was sharp. He leaped into the air and flew above the blood pool. He opened his mouth and sucked in the blood. Instantly, the thin layer of blood was attracted. It turned into a stream of water and gathered in Demon King Bo Sun's mouth. It happened so fast that before Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan could react, all the blood in the blood pool had been sucked dry by Bo Sun. Bo Sun's face became the same as a normal person's. There was no difference at all. He had become a living person. Of course, the demonic aura on his face could not be changed. It was cold and chilling. Oh no. Seeing this, Jin Luan's face was filled with disbelief. Jun Haoyin, on the other hand, looked at Demon King Bo Sun. He was not worried at all. After Demon King Bo Sun absorbed the blood of everyone, his strength seemed to have broken through to the immortal realm. Moreover, because he had a lot of blood energy as his energy source, his strength was also growing rapidly. He seemed to be showing signs of breaking through to the Emperor realm. I didn't expect two humans to barge into my palace. After regaining his consciousness, Demon King Bo Sun looked at Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan. He licked his lips slightly as if he was greedy. These two immortal realm humans in front of me seem a little unusual. As long as I devour them, I think my strength will be restored a lot. Bo Sun looked at Jun Haoyin and Jin Luan. The greed in his eyes was obvious. Jun Haoyin looked at Bo Sun and found it funny. This guy was in trouble, but he did not know it. The Minor Thunder Sound Temple had helped him. He did not mind killing the people of the Guang clan who had overthrown the Minor Thunder Sound Temple. Bo Sun seemed to have noticed the killing intent in Jun Haoyin's eyes. He turned his head slowly and looked at Jun Haoyin coldly. He said with a smirk, "Human, you seem to want to kill me." His tone was full of mockery, as if he was mocking an ant who wanted to topple a mountain. He was a demon king. If Shakyamuni had not found him, he would have had the potential to challenge demon ancestor Chiyu. He did not need to take Jun Haoyin, a little genius from the lower world, seriously. That's right. It won't take long for you to lose your life. Seeing that Bo Sun had actually seen through his thoughts, Jun Haoyin revealed a look of admiration and chuckled. Seeing Jun Haoyin's reaction, Jinluan Arhat looked helpless. Demon King Bo Sun's expression changed from one of disdain to one of gloominess. Was he being mocked by this human brat from the lower realm? A sense of annoyance suddenly arose in his heart. Looking at the smiling human boy in front of him, he suddenly had the urge to immediately kill him. He believed that with his current undying realm strength, killing an immortal lifespan immortal realm human would be a piece of cake. He raised his hand and was about to attack. When Jun Haoyin saw this, his eyes congealed. The various skills and spells in his body were already prepared. However, just as Demon King Bo Sun was about to make his move, he suddenly changed his mind and extinguished the thought of immediately killing Jun Haoyin. He lowered his raised palm. Towards a brat who dared to offend and provoke him, it would be too simple to directly kill him. With a cold gaze, Demon King Bo Sun released 10% of his oppressive might onto Jun Haoyin. Even though it was only 10%, Bo Sun felt that it was enough. Did he have to go all out to deal with a high immortal realm kid? He definitely wanted to make Jun Haoyin kneel down in front of him. From Bo Sun's actions, Jun Haoyin knew that he wanted candy. Are you trying to use pressure to make me yield? You're underestimating me. Jiang Qin was very confident in his strength. He wanted to see if Bo Sun would use his full strength. He wanted to see how Bo Sun would act when he couldn't suppress him. As Bo Sun exerted his pressure, Jiang Qin's shoulders slightly sank. The pressure on his body was more than 100 times higher than the pressure he felt when he was walking on the road. However, Jiang Qin still felt it. He didn't feel any pressure at all. Just like this. The pressure was too much for him. What's wrong? When Buddha demon Bo Sun saw Jiang Qin's relaxed expression, he frowned and was slightly surprised. After thinking about it for a while, he put 20% of the pressure on Di Rulai, wanting to test the strength of the first zone. However, Di Rulai's face turned pale. After a few seconds, he rolled his eyes and fell to the ground. Looks like you're quite capable. Tu Bo Sun sneered. Then he increased the pressure on Jiang Qin to 20%. Adding M to 20% of the pressure should have some effect. Buddha demon Bo Sun thought in his heart. Here it is. However, what made him extremely surprised was that Gong Qin didn't seem to be affected even after the pressure was increased to 20%. Gong Qin even looked at him with interest. WCO's Buddha demon Bo Sun's face darkened, and he immediately increased the pressure. 30%, 40%, 50%, 60% earth. Until the earth pressure fell on Jiang Qin's body, Jiang Qin felt a slight negative and heavy feeling. This meant that the pressure finally had some effect on Jiang Qin. 7. Chapter 261. Jun Haoyan's cultivation technique was the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant. Currently, Jun Haoyan had awakened a total of 4 million mammoth seeds in his body, and his divine power was boundless. How could a mere demon king Bo Sun's pressure suppress him? Moreover, the ancient mammoths had swept across the galaxy, carried the sun, and suppressed the endless hell. How could a mere demon king Bo Sun suppress him? At this moment, facing demon king Bo Sun, Jun Haoyan's face revealed a slight smile. Then Jun Haoyan's strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant began to circulate. Suddenly, the faintly discernible pressure that demon king Bo Sun exerted on Jun Haoyan disappeared. It was as if it had never appeared. Originally, when demon king Bo Sun saw that the pressure had increased to 70%, Jun Haoyan finally reacted, and a look of joy appeared on his face. However, before he could rejoice for long, he sensed that the pressure on Jun Haoyan's body had suddenly disappeared. Suddenly his face froze. This scene caused him to be extremely surprised and bewildered. Then Demon King Bo Sun directly activated all of his power and violently swept towards Jun Haoyan, trying to forcibly suppress Jun Haoyan. However, the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant in Jun Haoyan's body continued to circulate, and all of the pressure was directly suppressed. At this moment, even Demon King Bo Sun suffered a backlash, and the rebound of his power caused his blood and chi to become somewhat chaotic. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun looked at Jun Haoyan with an incomparably shocked expression. His eyes were filled with disbelief. As everyone knew, Jun Haoyan was just a mere immortal longevity stage existence. A mere immortal longevity stage existence was nothing in his eyes. Even at this moment, Demon King Bo Sun's strength had not fully recovered. With his current strength, it was only a matter of time before he returned to his peak. Humph. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun directly laid out his cards. He slowly stretched out his hand, and an extremely powerful and endless force came out from Jun Haoyan's body. Under the influence of this monstrous power, the entire ancient temple shook, as if it could not withstand such a great power. If one were to look down from the top of the mountain where the temple was located, one would see a violent storm rising from the temple and sweeping across the entire abyss. The thin devil chi in the entire abyss surged, its momentum shaking the heavens and the earth. Such a terrifying scene was something that even a peak undying world king would be shocked by. In the temple, Jun Haoyan, who was facing Demon King Bo Sun, was the first to bear the brunt of the pressure. It was as if a violent storm was coming from the front. Although he had 8,400,000 mega mammoth cells, which gave him boundless god power, he still couldn't stand up straight. After circulating the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth a few times, he finally stabilized himself. It seemed like Demon King Bo Sun was preparing to make his move. Seeing this, Jun Haoyan sneered inwardly. Then he immersed his mind into the furnace in his body. Chiyu, it's your turn. He wanted to see what kind of expression Demon King Bo Sun would have when he saw Chiyu, the demon ancestor, coming. Chiyu replied excitedly when he heard Jun Haoyan's words. After being sealed in Jun Haoyan's body for so long, he finally saw the light of day. Although it was only for a short time and he would be sealed again, he could not help but feel excited. Moreover, he felt that teaching Bo Sun a lesson was very interesting. Jun Haoyin communicated with the fragment in his body and drew it out. Ever since he used the fragment to seal Qiyu on Mount Tai, the fragment had been used by him. He didn't know what material it was made of, but it was able to seal Qiyu without worrying that Qiyu would escape from it. It could be seen that it was also a treasure. An inconspicuous fragment, with runes engraved on its surface, appeared in front of Jun Haoyin and floated in mid-air. Demon King Bo Sun released all of his power and was about to attack Jun Haoyin. He wanted to kill this human who dared to mock him. Suddenly he saw the fragment floating in front of Jun Haoyin. It's already so late. What's the use of this small fragment? Demon King Bo Sun was puzzled. However, judging from the appearance of the fragment, it could actually float peacefully in the void under his full power. Perhaps it was a rare treasure. His face was slightly happy. Since it was a treasure, it naturally belonged to him. He reached out his hand and grabbed the fragment in front of Jun Haoyin. After observing it for a while, Demon King Bo Sun was even more surprised. This fragment was neither gold nor wood. It had a texture similar to a stone. A trace of interest arose in his heart, and he wanted to continue observing it. However, at this moment, a trace of black fog floated out from the fragment. It slowly condensed on the fragment as if it was condensing into something. Seeing this scene, Demon King Bo Sun was stunned. He actually felt a trace of a very familiar power towards this black fog. It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. However, what made him very puzzled was that he couldn't recall it at the moment. In front of the altar, Jun Haoyin's body was motionless. Looking at Bo Sun's stunned expression while holding the fragment, he felt a little amused. Demon King Bo Sun would never have thought that this black fog was demon ancestor Qiyu, and the thing that was slowly condensing was Qiyu's image. Of course, this image was naturally not Qiyu's actual body. It was only a portion of Qiyu's power that was released. If Jun Haoyin wanted to, he could reseal this portion of power back into the fragment at any time. In other words, the power that was released could only act according to Jun Haoyin's wishes. If the slightest bit of malicious intent appeared, it would immediately be resealed by Jun Haoyin. Qiyu was really too important. Jun Haoyin would definitely not release Qiyu's origin power so easily. At this moment, Jun Haoyin calmly crossed his arms and looked at Demon King Bo Sun. Demon King Bo Sun seemed to be certain that Jun Haoyin had little chance of escaping from his hands. After obtaining the fragment, he actually ignored Jun Haoyin and locked a strand of his consciousness on Jun Haoyin to prevent Jun Haoyin from escaping. After that, he began to study the fragment in his hand. However, the more he studied it, the more he was amazed. Then, under his curious gaze, the fog that spread out from the fragment actually formed a humanoid figure as it curled around it. Moreover, as time passed, the human figure became clearer and clearer. Along with the body, a face condensed. The aura of the demon ancestor, whose confidence, soft laughter and disdain for everything in the world also surfaced. That aura, as well as that familiar gaze, locked onto Demon King Bo Sun's body. It was as if a basin of water was suddenly splashed on Demon King Bo Sun's head. The interest in his heart was instantly extinguished. At the same time, a trace of panic appeared in his heart. The Demon King held the fragment in his hand. Around the fragment, the fog spread out and condensed into Qiyu's body. Qiyu was the demon ancestor. When he was in the divine realm, he was Demon King Bo Sun's superior. Now that Qiyu suddenly appeared in Bo Sun's hands, how could Demon King Bo Sun not panic? Bo Sun, do you still recognize me? Qiyu looked at Bo Sun's panicked appearance and sneered. You are the demon ancestor. Looking at Qiyu, Demon King Bo Sun's face was filled with shock and unnaturalness as he spoke in disbelief. Looks like you still know who I am. Hearing Demon King Bo Sun's words, Qiyu seemed to be satisfied as he nodded his head. Then he wanted to continue speaking, but Bo Sun was one step ahead of him and interrupted him. Demon ancestor, why are you in this strange fragment? Could it be that your demon form is also sealed? Bo Sun seemed to be puzzled as he asked. Hearing this, Qiyu glanced at Bo Sun and said indifferently, that's right. I am still sealed in this fragment and can't come out. During this period of time, my origin is a little weak. Just nice, I can borrow your origin. Bo Sun, it's time for you to contribute. Hearing this, Bo Sun's expression became somewhat conflicted. The light in his eyes began to flicker. Naturally, he knew what Qiyu's words meant. Borrowing his origin naturally meant that he had to contribute his origin for Qiyu to restore himself. However, after the origin was absorbed, Bo Sun would also directly lose most of his power. The origin was the most important thing to the immortals. Without the origin, the immortals could not continue to exist. Why, Bo-sun? Don't tell me you don't want to contribute your origin? Chiyu seemed to not be surprised by Bo-sun's reaction. He looked at Bo-sun with a cold smile. Not far away, Jun Haoyan was also very interested in this scene. One was the sealed demon ancestor, and the other was the demon king who had just awakened. Whether the two would return to their previous superior-subordinate relationship, and whether Bo-sun would still listen to Chiyu's words, was a question. At this moment, Bo-sun's expression was conflicted, and a trace of unwillingness appeared in his eyes. He had just awakened and had a bright future ahead of him. Was he going to contribute his origin as if he was committing suicide? He was unwilling and very unwilling. Looking at the fragment in his hand and Chiyu who was on it, a trace of strange light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Originally, he had joined the demon clan not for other things, but to become stronger and finally attain Dao fruit. At this moment he would absolutely not hand over his family's life so easily. Moreover, Chiyu was now sealed and did not seem to have the ability to do anything to him. The more he thought about it, the more he did not want to continue listening to Chiyu's orders. Looks like you have already made your choice. Chiyu looked at Bo-sun's moonlight and was not surprised at all. He immediately sneered. When he had taken Bo-sun into the demon clan, he had already seen through Bo-sun's character. He had only taken him in casually and had not paid much attention to him. This was because he knew that since Bo-sun could join the demon clan for benefits, there would be a day when he would betray the demon clan for benefits. And that day had finally arrived. It seemed that Bo-sun had seen that he was sealed and thought that he could not do anything to him. If that was really the case, then Bo-sun would have some strange phenomena. This was because although the fragment had sealed Chiyu, the one who had excavated it was Jun Haoyan. As long as Jun Haoyan agreed to release his power, he would definitely be able to suppress Bo-sun. Demon ancestor, since you want me dead, then don't blame me. Bo-sun pinched the fragment, and a trace of viciousness suddenly appeared in his eyes. He knew that he had to strike first to gain the upper hand. Suppressing Chiyu first would prevent any undue delay. In the next moment, the power in Bo-sun's body surged crazily, and then swarmed out from his hands. This power was like a serene tremor, and it had an aura very similar to the demonic aura. This was the power that Bo-sun had refined using the non-biochemical demonic technique. Even in the divine world, this kind of power was considered top-notch. This was the technique that Chiyu had imparted to him. He would let the power from the technique that Chiyu had imparted to him destroy Chiyu. As Bo-sun thought this, the power in his body surged out towards the fragment in his hands, and it was about to drill into the fragment. This power was filled with a chaotic aura. If it were to enter the mind of an ordinary person, it would only take an instant to turn him into an idiot. This was the method that Bo-sun had thought of to directly destroy Chiyu's divine soul. Chiyu felt the power swarming towards his body and he sneered. This Bo-sun had finally made a move on him. He knew Bo-sun very well, and he was least afraid that Bo-sun would make a move on him. As for that chaotic power, not only did Chiyu not block or evade it, he allowed it to enter the fragment and bombard his origin. After bombarding his origin, this chaotic power that was about to destroy Chiyu's origin suddenly changed, and it turned into an aura that was exactly the same as his origin. Then it was devoured by his origin. Chiyu felt that his origin had become much stronger, and his expression was joyful, as if he was enjoying it very much. Just when Chiyu had absorbed the power that he had injected into the fragment, Bo-sun's expression suddenly changed to one of bewilderment. He saw that when he had injected power into the fragment, Chiyu did not feel any pain. Instead, he was enjoying it very much. His heart was suddenly filled with bewilderment, and he stopped his actions. What? Why aren't you continuing? Chiyu looked at Bo-sun and a trace of ridicule appeared on his face. Since I, the demon ancestor, want you to offer your origin, naturally no matter what, you can't escape. You better not waste your time. Chiyu's face was somewhat proud. The reason why he could absorb Bo-sun's power was actually very simple. It was not because his realm was higher, but because the cultivation technique that he had bestowed upon Bo-sun, the innate demon transformation technique, was originally a part of his own cultivation technique. Wait for the king to say. All these years, Bo-sun had been the storage of his power, helping him to cultivate. When he had taken Bo-sun in to join the demon clan, he had already planted a good pen. No matter what, Bo-sun had escaped from his control. He wanted to see how Bo-sun would react. You did something to my cultivation technique? Bo-sun swept his gaze over Chiyu, frowning as he spoke. Being able to cultivate to the divine king realm, he was naturally not stupid. With just a short observation he directly saw through the reason. After a short observation he gritted his teeth and increased the power output. This time he didn't want to destroy Chi-Yu's divine soul. Instead he wanted to destroy the fragment together with Chi-Yu. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.